It's a simple fact.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm like, fuck it, I'm such an idiot for buying decaf. I was looking at like what kind of roast I wanted, and I totally didn't even like grab it, and then I'm like spray painting outside, and fuck, girlfriend comes out, and it's just like, you bought decaf, and I like drop a mini in the snow, and I'm like, double pain.
Brutal.
Hello, and welcome to BonkTable. I'm Mass, and this is the BonkTable podcast, and with me today is my co-host, Cassandra.
Hello.
Hello. We've been talking for like half an hour. So today we are going to talk about the update. We're going to go through the rules, we're going to go through all the factions, we're going to talk about what we think. I don't know how you kind of want to do this. Like, here's the thing. I kind of want. Do you want to talk a little bit about like our base thoughts before we get into details of all this stuff? Because I don't know how far in detail you want to go. Because a lot of this stuff was rules clarification on like it affects characters, it doesn't affect characters. Oh, this little adjustment. Like a lot of it got tiny changes, especially in a lot of like the core rule book. But some things did get changed where it's like, oh, okay, now you can do that.
I don't know that we necessarily need to get into the minutiae of the rules clarifications and stuff.
Yeah.
But we should definitely cover like the big changes and probably go over the lists more than anything else and the stuff that changed there. But
yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too, because I don't really want to do like a 4-hour podcast. I'm like, man, I have shit to do today.
Yeah, I would like to run some errands today too. I know that this is kind of. I feel like we've just pulled the curtain on like the podcast magic here, but I'm I'm an adult with things to do, so
I have to paint more horses. I literally woke up, went and grabbed all my horses, took them outside and spray painted them again just to like get the priming on them, because I did a spray paint yesterday before heading out to play a game, and I like came back to them like 3 or 4 hours later and looked at them. There's like areas that weren't covered in primer, and I'm just like, ugh. So I just did them this morning, and I'm like,
that's. I gotta say, this is only quasi related to this podcast, I guess, or depending on how much you engage with the hobby. But priming with a rattle can of primer, I hate it. It drains my soul out of my body. It's such a pain in the ass. And then you look at the model and you don't have like perfect coverage in some areas, and now you have to drag everything back outside or into the room that you're not going to use for 8 to 10 hours afterwards and can allow to air out, and then do it all over again, and then hope that you got it this time. It's just, I don't know.
What do you prime your models in?
What do you mean, in terms of paint or facility?
No, paint. Facility, you can use the bathroom for all I care. I don't give a shit. Do it in the tub.
No, that's fair. I usually, so it depends. Like when before I broke my airbrush, I was using Vallejo Gray, which just looks white, but that was probably the best primer that I was using. Okay. Right now I'm using Army Painter White, which it's cost effective.
Go on.
I think pound for pound, like if we're gonna give you the quick breakdown, like the Cassandra Hobby Primer, if you can get Mr. Hobby spray cans, that's the best primer. That is beautiful. I've never used a better primer than that, but I have to go to the Gundam store to get that stuff.
Oh, is that the secret Gundam store downtown?
Well, not anymore, but yeah.
No, but you told me where it was because you're like, oh, this guy's cool. I can tell what the secret Gundam store is. But I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who do not know about the secret Gundam store. Also, why is it only open for like 2 days a week?
I think it's because he has a day job. Is the honest answer. But I like that adds to it for me because it's like
you have to show up on time to get your Gundams.
Yeah. For our listener, there's a store in the city that we live in that sells Gundam models, and it's only open 2 days a week, and it's in an unlabeled storefront in an industrial sector across the street from a go-kart track, incidentally, but which I suppose is a bit of a landmark. And they're only open 2 days a week, and it's like the store doesn't look like a shop or even a place that's fit to necessarily rent. Like it's completely like unfinished and unrenovated, and it's just stacked up with boxes and boxes of Gundam models. But the guy is like super cool, and he's really like just a pleasure to deal with, and the prices are like better than anywhere else that I've gone to. So it's just like. And it's just cool. It's just fun and neat to have, there's the secret Gundam store that you need to know about to go to or whatever. It's just like, it's a cool... There's not a lot of stuff like that in life anymore ever since the internet came out. So it's always cool when there's something like that.
All the secrets are out, and it's just like, this is just a secret we have. Did you ever go to the Underground Cafe downtown?
Probably. Which one?
Okay, so it was the one that was... it was down in the Exchange District. It was on the same block as Toad's Hall, like the toy store.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you went a little past that, like maybe 2 buildings, and there's this apartment complex, and you literally open the door to the apartment complex, and then there's another door on this weird angular wall right beside the door you open to get into the apartment complex, and it's opened, and you go down these steps, and you're in this underground restaurant, and the walls are painted up. Like, there's Bruce Lee, Spider-Man, Wizard of Oz. Like, they're all painted up with all these, like, pop culture characters from, like, movies, TV, all that stuff. Yeah. And they're all around the walls, and you can get, like, lunch and dinner there and stuff. So, and it's called the Underground Cafe, and I was talking to one of my buddies at one of my older jobs, and he's like, oh, yeah, that's run by this lady, and I'm like, we're friends, and he's like, I went to her wedding. I'm like, what the fuck? Like... It's really weird. Like, everyone's one person away from knowing everyone in Winnipeg. So, I'm like, years, like, I hadn't been downtown in quite a while. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go there. It's probably still open, and I'll, have dinner there. And I'm like, I'll take a girl because it's cool. So, go on a date. We show up, I open the door into the apartment, and it's just, like, a solid tiled wall that matches all the other walls, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm totally like, was this something I imagined? What happened? Like, I'm like, what the hell? And then I went to, what is it, Boditos, like that, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, okay, cool. It's like Brogies or something. Really great place as well, but they moved to City Place, and... the building they were in, I think, got demolished. But so we went there instead. But it was so weird because like, oh yeah, this great place is great. Has great food, has great atmosphere, all cool shit on the wall. And then you like open the door, and it's like the door to the place to go down the steps is just a wall. And you're like, what the like? Yeah. What magic happened? I'm like touching the wall. Is this an illusion? Like, what the fuck happened?
That would be jarring.
So I then later on I talked to the same guy who knows the owner. He's like, oh yeah, they had to close down, because like kind of COVID hit. I'm like, okay, but they got rid of the door.
Well, COVID hit them hard.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
It annihilated them.
Yeah, and I really love that part of like the Exchange District of Winnipeg because it's absolutely bizarre. Because you'll enter a place and you're like, there's nothing going on here, and you'll go to the second floor. There's like a full-on restaurant that people know. Like you just have to know where it is. There's no advertisement at all.
Yeah.
Or there's like some shop. Like it's just like what the hell. Like I remember going to the 8th story of this one building, and it was like this the entire floor was empty except this one small corner where someone had basically rented it out for a storefront, and it's like. You walk past the area that's for the store, and it's all done up really nicely, and it's just like old ass wood. There's like 1 or 2 lights. I think there was some exposed wires. It's just like, damn, am I gonna fucking electrocuted? Like, I was talking to some friends who live down there, and they're like, oh, we can just go to that apartment or that building over there. They got like a pool and a bowling alley on the like 9th floor. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, there was
just weird.
yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff like that. I was just one of the hotels I guess I have to be vague about this because I don't know how much of this information that I can disclose. It's not even exciting. It's just I don't know. But I guess one of the hotels in town, one of the floors that's not normally accessible, just has like a whole bunch of old AV equipment and like old computer systems and stuff in it for like not really any specifically explained reason. So I don't know. Explore your cities, I guess, is the message
Yeah,
of this
like,
segment of the podcast, because there's lots of interesting things to be found if only you go out and look.
yeah, our downtown area is wild if you just like hang out there for. I want like if you go downtown every day for a week and just start going into places and just like wandering, and you gotta wander super hard, you'll find some of the weirdest shit.
You might get robbed, but you also will find some fascinating things.
Yeah. Don't carry your money on you.
Yeah.
Or have a fake wallet. Just give them the fake wallet. Yeah, Jesus.
But
we should get on with it. Okay,
on to Conquest.
Yeah, on to Conquest. So yeah, PV News. There was an update on February 13th? Is that what the start of the week was? No, 12th. It was on Monday because we're recording this on Friday.
That's right.
So we're going to talk about all that today. And our rule of the week is going to be Rider because I know that changed and people are kind of for and kind of not for it. And then we'll kind of go through the core rule book and then each faction just kind of chat about them. Things that matter, things that don't matter. And then kind of what, like, do you want to kind of like rate the factions again at the end or kind of talk about kind of maybe some of the things that were good, things that are bad? Yeah, because
that's probably. I mean, it's. I think it's funny that we made reference to talking before we started recording, and we're just like working through the plan for how to do this podcast as we're recording it. So clearly, people are getting a look into our process, which is to say, it doesn't exist.
I'm pretty sure it's why people tune in. Like, I know some people. I've gotten messages before where they're like, "Oh, I love how like unscripted you guys are. You guys just chat about stuff. It makes it feel really like down to earth, and we can connect." And I'm like, "Oh, sweet man, thanks."
Oh, that's great. I mean, if people like it, that's awesome. But
yeah,
sometimes I'm just like, wow, this can't be how professionals do things.
No, we are not professionals. Oh, I do have one bit of news. So, Liam from Millennial Model Mayhem, who's the Vanguard or one of the Vanguards in Calgary, also referred to as Conquest Jesus. You can find pictures of him as Conquest Jesus on the internet. Look him up.
Hallowed be his name.
Hallowed be his name, yeah. He got back to me about Gamescom Canada in Edmonton, about if it's a Worlds event or not. He just shot me a couple messages, and it's basically, no. It most likely will not be a Worlds qualifier, mostly due to they don't think they're going to get 12 players. I've said, oh, you know, it sucks, but that's all right. And then we kind of chatted about what the dates were, and did he tell me the date? No, we're talking about UK now. I gotta like scroll back up. He didn't give me a date, but I'm pretty sure it's like June 1st. Oh no, he did give me a date. It's June 1st. Oh, sorry. They're doing a casual tournament on June 1st. And he's inviting me. Alright, well, if I have time off, I will show up for June 1st to play him and his meta again. They're great guys. So yeah. I just want to clarify that because I know we talked about it last podcast. What was the Widgets and Wonders one with Garrett with 2 T's? As he's told me. Mm-hmm. I keep fucking up people's names. And now I address him as Garrett with 2 T's. So what else was there? From the Widgets and Wonders podcast, Cass and I got our all-purpose horse tools. I've used it. It's great. Works really well if you want to side shuffle things with odd numbers for speeds. Garrett with 2 T's also threw the BonkTable logos on it, so you could probably request that from him as well on his Etsy store, Soon Geekery. Supposedly people thought I was saying like Soon Geekery, but it's SEWN Geekery, because for some reason people don't check out the description where I put this stuff in. I'm not adding it to this one, so go back to the Widgets and Wonders one for that link, because I'm going to be way too lazy.
Damn. Well, that's fair.
Well, hey man, I get it's my podcast. I get to choose.
It's true.
What else is there for little bits of news that I can think of? Anyway, the widgets are sweet from Garrett. Gamescom not being that. I think that's really it. What's kind of come up recently? Adepticon is coming up in March. What's like the big tournament I know myself is preparing for. We got Skillin locally who's being dragged out. So if you're going to Adepticon, I'll be there. I got the time off work. We're gonna drive down, hang out, play some games. If you find me, it's not really hard. I'd probably have some BonkTable patches I'll hand out to people so you can get some free swag. There you go. That's it for PB News.
I did not get the time off, unfortunately, for Adepticon.
Maybe next year?
Maybe next year. That's the hope.
We can't take you to LVO or else you'll be a menace.
Oh, God. Yeah, let's do LVO.
Oh, Jesus.
I'll definitely be there. Yeah. Let's take me to Vegas.
Take me to Vegas, baby. All right, well, that's in a year's time, so we'll figure that one out. Ryder, want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Do you want to read it, or do you want me to read it?
No, I'll read it.
Oh, okay.
So, Ryder is as follows. This character stand is not physically represented by a separate stand and must be attached to a monster regiment in its warband. This regiment counts as being composed of 2 stands, a monster and a character stand. The character stand uses the monster stand for the purposes of measuring distances and drawing line of sight using the monster regiment's size. The regiment marches based on the monster regiment's march characteristic, as opposed to the lowest march characteristic value in the regiment. Character model must be physically represented on the monster regiment it is attached to, e.g., a Hellbringer Sorcerer model or Apex Queen. The character stand is still considered to be attached to the regiment even without a stand, and therefore can be involved in dual actions. Furthermore, the character stand is considered to be in contact with any enemy stands the monster regiment is in contact with.
I don't know what really changed about this, to be honest.
And maybe I'll be wrong and I'll get torn apart in the comments, but hand to God, I feel like this is the case, and I guess I could probably go get an old PDF from my phone and confirm it, but I think Ryder used to have the reroll 6s built into it.
That'd be fair. So that's gone.
And
also,
I think it also natively conferred you in what army as well.
Yeah, and I think you and what army might have been gone. I can actually do this really quick with like the WAG. Tempered Sorcerer. Relics, Masteries, Hellbringer, Rider.
Yeah.
Come on, click on the thing. Yeah, so it looks like it got rid of you and what army, so you can't refuse a duel now up when you're riding it.
Which is
pretty good because because now you can actually just like rip the character off the thing if the character's being annoying, like the Dwayne caster. What was kind of the big one.
I guess.
Go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. Go ahead. I'll say it after.
Oh, I was just gonna mention like kind of the big thing you got to watch out for Ryder though is that if you do end up in a duel and you do die, your regiment is broken because you still count as your 2-stand regiment, even though a second stand is not represented physically. That's the big one I would like people to kind of take away from this is that if your character does die, your beast is broken because you are now at half stands.
And now if also which dovetails with what I was going to say there is now you of course run the risk of shutting off like your ability to seize and things like that with the monster regiment.
You're right.
Now.
Yeah.
So.
I guess we're gonna talk about scoring a little later on, but another one is like the character model must physically be represented. I don't think they had that line, so I guess people weren't doing it. But I feel like if you're in a casual like local thing or like regular game day or a local event, people won't really care. But I do understand it for big event purposes where it's like kind of what you see is what you get, especially in like this game and like 40k and fantasy and all that stuff, because it's just like you can do different builds and equipment and things.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Get a version that can sit as the rider, and maybe have it there and magnetize it so it kind of pops it on and off or whatever you need to do, and there you go.
Or just if you're a Wadroon player, don't worry about putting anybody on your Apex Predator.
Yeah.
At this point, there's not necessarily, I think, a super compelling reason to do it at the moment. But
yeah, I guess we'll get to that more later on. I think Ryder did get toned down. Do you think it's losing the reroll sixes, losing you and what army? Do you think it makes it more manageable to play into? I feel like it does for your opponent. It doesn't really give you as much buffs as it did before. But it does still give you the height bonus, like you're on a size 3 monster, so you can see over everyone and you can just lay into them still. Like, that's still a thing.
I don't know. It's I don't think that Ryder was super overtuned in the first place. Like, I mean, the whole crux of the debate with Huskarls is reroll sixes good, and the answer seems to be a resounding not really. So like, I don't see how applying that to a monster is necessarily like it changes all that much. The turning down duels thing was like, I get why they did it, because now a lot of the changes here seem to be focused on making dueling more of an actual mechanic and less of just like an option that you have to maybe kill a wizard once in a while.
I think, yeah, I guess we'll also hit dueling, but like I'm glad we did the dueling episode before this came out, but also because we can just kind of tack this onto the dueling episode a little bit. I don't think a lot of my opinions change on duels. I think that duels are now a little more prevalent than they were before. Like they actually you can actually do something with a duel even if your opponent declines, what's really nice.
Yeah. It's I don't know that it's necessarily going to define or change the game significantly with the changes that they've made, but it does at least add a little more, like you have a little bit more of a reason to do it.
Yeah.
Some interesting recent experiences that I've had with dueling, just I guess for the amusement of longtime listeners, is playing a demo game with a new player. They dueled. It might have even been my Jarl. Like, it was just a demo game, so it was just for fun. So we were just kind of doing whatever. But they dueled my Jarl with their High Clone Executor, and I wound up killing their very powerful shooting piece because they were copying the LVO list, or not the was it the LVO list? It must
probably.
Have been. So that was funny. It's funny when like just everybody dies in a duel.
Yeah, don't duel, you'll kill yourself. I had a matron. I played Derek, who was playing with June, and he dueled me with his matron queen, and I accepted because I had Quicksilver Strike on a sealed temple guy, and I was like, and I did 2 damage to the matron queen, and then I took like 4 damage back, and I'm like, oh, fuck, this is why I don't duel. My dice are shit. Yeah,
yesterday in my game against Eric, I dueled one of his guys with I think it was his Mechanist, actually, with my Vargar Lord, and you want to know what the outcome of that was?
The Vargar Lord died after 5 agonizing duels.
No, I took we only had a chance to duel once, but I took 2 wounds and he took 1.
Yeah. Great time. Either it goes really good for you, really bad for you, or nothing happens.
Stupid, or chaotic stupid, and everything is messed up.
Don't change duels, never change.
Yeah. No, I've changed my mind. I love duels now.
They're so dumb. So should we scroll all the way to the top of the core rules and start just going down?
Yeah, let's just fuck it up, as the kids say.
I'm just gonna start scrolling until I hit red text, and I'll tell you what page it is.
And then, I'm gonna quickly assess whether or not I think it's worth talking about.
Okay. Oh, so on page 11, chariots. This is a new thing. We should talk about this 100%. Yeah. So, City States is bringing out chariot models. These are different from infantry, cavalry, and brutes, so they're a new type of stand. I'm just gonna read this out. Chariots are manned platforms pulled into battle by fierce beasts of burden, or even mechanical contraptions. This is just flavor text. Great. Chariot stands are easily identifiable by their long rectangular bases made up of 2 square stands back to back. These 2 stands together form one chariot stand, on top of which a single chariot model is placed. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So, models, bases, decorative stands, however, so monster stands and chariot stands act alone while most fight together. There's a little bit added into the stand thing. That might be a little more flavor text to like help someone understand how stands work. But chariots, there's like a whole new section on chariots. They're basically, if you took 2 stands and made a rectangle and their front was only 1 stand width. So instead of having like 2 stands side by side and that's your front, think about it more as only 1 stand is in front and another stand is in back. You know how a chariot
1x2 instead of 2x1.
Thank you. How a chariot works. So chariots are size 2. I'm just going to see through this. They have, I think they might be able to just shoot out of their side for just being a chariot. Just want to scroll through this to see if there's anything. I feel like there was, but I might just be missing it. That's okay though. Don't really need to go super hard. Yeah. And I'm done. Okay, let's keep going. Chariots size 2.
They're neat.
Yeah, I like that they're adding more stuff like that into the game. Breaks it up a bit for, I want to say, like, the monotony of just, like, forming bricks and smashing brick into each other, because the only thing that was really different formation-wise was the monsters, just of how, because of how their base is. And I don't mind that stuff because you get to see more interesting plays, and people play around with it differently because of how it looks and acts. Talking about the reinforcement play phase, basically saying characters do not roll separately and adopt the class of the current regiment. Characters lost class weight, so your character is part of the same class as the regiment it joins. On top of that, Seek New Escort is gone. It has been removed from the game. There is only one thing in the game that can technically seek New Escort, and that is the Mimic Assassin. He has a special rule that allows him to do so. So whatever regiment you put your character in, they're staying with that regiment. Cass, what do you think of the removal of Seek New Escort and character weights?
Well, first of all, I want to point out that I did predict this was probably coming with the changes that came to the Nords with the Jarl special rule.
Yeah, back in September.
Yeah, if you'll recall. So pat on the back for Cassandra there. But beyond that, so it's a weird one. It's how do I explain this? Like, I think putting heavier characters in lighter regiments wasn't necessarily intended by the design, but it became like a rocket jump where it was just such a useful trick that if you had the ability to do it, then you would, either to an extent or with my list where you went all the way into it and had 3 scoring lights come out every game that you played as Nords because you're sick in the head. So it's like, it probably needed to go because it technically, like, it was kind of a loophole, I think.
Yeah, but everyone was doing it. Like, as you said, if you weren't doing it, you're not playing to the strengths of the game itself. Like, it was a core thing in the game that everyone was doing. So
yeah.
If everyone
but it's
go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just gonna say, because it's so like the reason why I think that's a concern, or at least for me, is just that it's like if you have like in an RPG game, if you have a clear best in slot item for a class or a build,
I understand now.
Yeah, you narrow it, because now it's like that's just one element of building that's just gone because it's always that one thing. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the ability to take that thing, then you're worse off than anyone who does.
Yeah, I have done hardcore WoW Classic rating. I understand this completely.
So in that respect, like it was fun. Like, I liked having access to it. But going from, for instance, Nords, where you're spoiled for the ability to do that, Wadroon, where you have a couple characters who can do that, but then you're like, the character who'd most logically do that was locked out of it because they were also a light, the Predator. So there's no spoiler alert. It that part of it felt disingenuous, and then it was kind of, you kind of became conscious of like, oh, like if you don't have this, like you're kind of fucked. So I like I think that probably a compromise that would make sense to me is to make it like the thing for Nords,
Mm-hmm.
through via the Jarl supremacy, and let other factions splash into it to varying degrees. So that you can at least, like, every faction should probably have the option to get out one, like, turn one fast scorer. But
So I know Old Dominion has the Fallen Divinity. City States has a spell to turn your lights into heavies. Old Way, I believe, has something similar. I think Holy Ray you can just cap with whatever. Like there's a couple of them now in each faction. For 100k, it's just called Get Horse onto Zone because you're so damn fast you can get there.
yeah, same thing with hunters and a matriarch queen.
Yeah. So turn.
Oh well, I guess no, that wouldn't work because they're just they're still a light. Sorry, I'm thinking in terms of the Nord rule again.
Yeah.
Um,
So a lot of factions do have a way of getting on turn 2 scoring. Some factions a little harder, some factions a little easier. I think Nords is kind of the king of that, though, with the Jarl supremacy, and I think Jarl stock has actually gone up. We're gonna make some stoinks today. Or stonks? I always call them stoinks.
I think the Jarl supremacy has been criminally slept on since day one. But, now it's like, yeah, it's.
I always find it funny when Nords players are like, well, none of our supremacies are good. I'm like, all your supremacies are good, even the Conningears. But it doesn't work into Old Dominion. It's like, yeah, like that's how many Old Dominion, like, unless you're always playing Old Dominion, sure, but like, I play, I don't know, maybe every like 1 in 10 games is an Old Dominion game, so like, I would still run Conningear. But I do think with the changes how scoring works of that, I do agree that Jarl supremacy is like going up.
Yeah, it's very hard not to take it. Like, I think now, in light of everything that's changed, like it and the like, a lot of flank is good, but it's pretty easy to get tons of flank in Nords too. So I think the Vanguard one is good if you know how to use it and not just run your guys up to die.
Don't run forward to die. That's a good one.
Yeah, but the Jarl one is I think competes with the Shaman one for the top 2. But really, you can't go wrong. Like, Conanier, just, it's only really bad in light of the other options that you have. Like, I feel like in that sense it's outclassed, but it's not terrible by any means. But the other ones are like, Mamma Mia! There's so much value to be had there.
Yeah, I would say go through your browse faction in the app and just try and figure out where your fast scorers are, and maybe throw a couple of those, like 1 or 2 in a list so that you can get onto those zones turn 2 and start scoring them, because I think almost all the factions have something to get on turn 2. And it's not as prevalent as it was before, but they're still there, except Nords just does it easy. Or easier. Yeah. So I do like this change, because I know a lot of people didn't like it, where it's like, oh, character weights, they should be the same weight as the regiment. I'm like, you know what, that does make sense. Or another option that Parabellum could have done was just said, characters always count as 1 stand for scoring.
Yeah.
So either like get rid of it for everybody what they did, or give it to everybody what they did not do. Either or I would have been fine with.
Yeah.
Because then any light characters now can score, what really changes up how you play the game as well. So I wouldn't have minded either way. I don't mind that they reduced it. And I feel like that's also going to be a theme. Like, this update is very much an update of reduction, I found as I read through it.
Yeah, it's definitely reining many things in. Yeah, the scoring, I don't know, it helps. I think it's a net positive, even if it does feel like a bit of a shock just to go from all the scoring to a little more constrained. But yeah, I mean, it was stupid that I could run like a 5-6 light list and have 3 scores come out in that, and like most of them flanking, some of them having Vanguard. Like, it's just, there's a point where it's just out of control.
Yeah. Next thing to talk about, the pass action. Pass does not count as an action, but simply represents one unwillingness to perform one.
Yeah.
So I guess you pick this at the start and you just don't do anything, or can you take your... Wait.
No, so this is
it says pass twice on the action list. Oh, because that's in combat action is now has pass.
Yeah, I'm gonna editorialize heavily here.
Yeah.
This rule is, or this action is just housekeeping for annoying nerds who will tell you that you have to take 2 actions because it doesn't codify in the rule that there's a don't take an action. So it's like, okay, so you're gonna make me inspire without clashing and then inspire, like, go to hell. Like, if I'm just taking 1 action, that's all I have to do. It's my opinion anyway. I don't think the game was designed to obligate you to take 2 actions. Mm-hmm. So I think this is just to clean it up so that you don't run into situations where people are going to be like, actually, because you only did 1 action in your activations.
There was some guy who was doing this and ruined it for everybody. But now it's in the rules, so now that guy can go away. Thank you. Yeah, I don't mind this one at all. Like, sure.
It's funny because it you need it to fix Bloodlust, I think. But Bloodlust is way more punishing now, so I don't know that it necessarily like mitigates it as much as it did. I'm reserving my opinion on that until we reread Bloodlust and I remember what's changed, but it sounds like it's way shittier now.
Yeah, and I do find it really funny when people look at Bloodlust and they're like, it's gotta be good, we gotta use it, we gotta like Vanguard, Bloodlust Charge, Clash, and I'm like, man, how close is something from your table edge if that's the play? Like,
yeah.
If you have a Bloodlust unit that's not on the table yet, and your opponent is that far forward, something else is happening. Like,
it's not only that, but like,
I've never seen anyone do it or even attempt to do it because no one's done that before. Like, got a regiment into your opponent's deployment zone like that ever.
No, even in the early days of Death's Gaze Braves, like coming in from the side from reinforcements and getting a mega impact charge from the flank, just it was a very compelling fantasy, but like, I don't know, so is having wings and being able to fly as much as I want.
So dear listener, if someone has actually gotten this off, tell me about it. I am curious, but I've seen no one locally ever do it. I've heard no stories from someone on the internet ever doing it.
If you're a unicorn,
no battle reports or seen any battle reports of anyone doing it, and people talk this up, but I'm like, I don't think this is a thing.
Well, sure, they're so confident about it in discussions. They're always like, no, man, you come in from the flank and you get the side charge from reinforcements with Bloodlust. And I'm like, what? Like, there's just so much has to go perfectly to facilitate that for you that it's like, if it happened in a movie about playing this war game, you go, that's not very believable.
This is like when in the Hobbit trilogy when Legolas was jumping up the rocks to get onto the falling bridge.
Yeah,
that's the level of insanity. Like, I have seen no one ever do this. I've seen no one ever try and set up for it. Like, I keep like shaking my head on it because I'm just kind of like, who the hell is doing this, and why are people so adamant about it?
Yeah. I'm not talking about a movie about Conquest. I'm talking about a movie about people playing Conquest. Like that arm wrestling movie with Sylvester Stallone, like that type of thing, like a really niche
Rocky Balboa
movie that they tried to. Well, not Rocky, but the guy who played Rocky. I can't remember the name of it. It's got a really stupid name. It's like Reach for the Top or something. And it's a movie about competitive arm wrestling, but like if they made a movie like that about Conquest and there was a part where like the main character gets hit by a bloodlust side charge presumably by like the antagonist or maybe
some
like
Russian
a minor
guy.
villain.
Yeah, always some Russian guy. Yeah,
yeah, hits him with that bloodlust side charge. Like all the Conquest players would be watching that and be like, "That'd never happen. That's stupid."
they'd be in the stands, like there'd be like a big whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, and you and your friends would just be getting mad as fuck watching this. Well, no, you'd be getting mad. Your friends would be like, "It's just a movie. Who cares?" You're like, "Well, it's just that would never happen that way." You'd say,
Yeah, or I can totally see it. Like that's how the protagonist loses like a Decepticon, and then they have to like practice. They have to practice how to counter it, and they show up to Gen Con, and they have to like play again, and they're like, "Oh, it's where all the marble, like go to Worlds," and the Russians there again, and they're at Worlds, and he's like ready for the bloodlust side charge, and, like doesn't happen, and people are like, "Oh, he protected himself from it," oh, and then like did something cool.
The climactic moment.
Yeah, at Worlds on the beach, in the gazebo house playing. Oh my god!
Wow, I'd watch that movie.
I would watch it too. That's the worst part.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Reform.
Yeah.
All right. So Reform. A couple things change. So I'm just gonna read this out because it kind of all has to go together. A Reform action allows a regiment to change its formations. Change its formation. Its combination of ranks and files. The reforming regiment immediately adopts a new legal formation. Period. Then it may turn to face any direction. See page 13 for more on legal formations. Period. Unlike a combat reform, the center of the regiment must not move as a result of the reform action. That changed. So you don't bump it forward or back anymore, or do you? No. No, you would. You would still have to bump it. Because your center can't change if you're trying to reform from like a square into a line. So you'd have to move your center mass back to that previous center mass. During a reform, no stand may move further than the regiment's lowest march characteristic. Does that change anything?
Well, so my concern, and I voiced this in our Discord as well. Not that matters to anyone listening to this, but I did mention it there. One thing that I was hoping that was clarified that's never been clear to me, because I just like playing the Tokyo Drift faction with Wadroon and Fluid Formation.
And now Nords with Finners.
Yeah, them too, honestly. So like I'll whip those reforms around like crazy, and I've always like everybody just lets me play it the way that you can just take any new facing legally.
Yeah.
Or any new legal facing, and that's how we've all been playing it, and I assume that's how it's intended. But this doesn't clear up the ambiguity for me as to whether or not the stands can rotate more than their march characteristic when they're adopting a new facing, if that makes sense.
So, I don't know because so adopting a new facing is a period. Let's go back to page 13 really quick.
Do you turn? Do your guys physically turn, or do they, like a quantum particle, cease to exist in what? Like they're in one facing, they cease to exist in reality, and then they come back in the new facing, because that's what immediately adopts a new legal formation implies to me. Is it's just like it flips like a switch. There's no motion.
Yeah, I read legal formations again, and like nothing has changed. It's still the same stuff. I don't even know what page we're at, because like I'm looking at the diagram, and it's kind of like, here's a square of 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 stands. Jesus, this is a big ass unit, and just kind of like how they're moving, but they're not like going 180.
Yeah, they never show you. They never whip it nor flip it, which is something that I'd like to see exemplified in the rules, because it's how I play. But this is just showing like how to redress ranks and turn.
Yeah, because it seems like during a reform, no stand may move further than its regiment's lowest march characteristic. So but it then may turn to face any direction in its own separate sentence. So it's like, the reform regiment immediately adopt a new legal formation. So it follows the legal formation stuff on page 13. Then it may turn to face any direction. So if I wanted to move it like 145 degrees from its facing so that it can like go turn, you like it says you can, but then the center can't move. That's fine. You just spin it on a point. And during reform, a no stand may move further than its original lowest march because you have to like follow the march move of how far you spread out. That's usually what people follow for that, and it's still not clarified. But there is a case where it's like, well, you couldn't because you can only wheel as far as your march, so you would only be able to get like a 5-inch wheel off of whatever you're facing currently is, and then sorry, I'm thinking. And then you would have to widen yourself after you adopt the new facing based on the march characteristic.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I still think everyone's playing it wrong.
Yeah, this is a section that probably necessitates further clarification. I'm just going to continue to do it the way I've been doing it, and if somebody doesn't like that, we'll argue about it then.
Throw some dice at each other.
Yeah, dice. But yeah, I don't know. It seemed like they were trying to clarify it, and it just it didn't take, which is
no.
You missed the rule though.
So let's
touch on this. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to read it? Go ahead.
Yes. When a regiment performs the take aim action, the regiment gains the aimed shot special rule until the end of its activation.
Guess what aim shot does, Cassandra?
Gives you +1 to your clash.
+1 to your volley, yes.
Oh, damn!
Jesus fuck. Oh my god.
See, then that's why it's more illustrative for the audience. If
I'm like, can I go home? I'm like, I'm already in my home.
We've barely gotten into this and you're already finished.
Wow, I already feel like my soul is being ripped from my body. Going down, check for obstructions. So it basically talks about the line for drawing line of sight. If the line is interrupted by any regiment or piece of obstructing terrain of a size equal or larger than both the size of the volleying regiment and the target regiment, then the shot is obstructed. So this is basically allowing you to, if you're size 3 and you have 2 size 1 things in front of you, you can shoot over the first size 1 thing and into the back of the second size 1 thing because it doesn't block line of sight. But if you're a size 3 there's a size 2, you could still shoot over it. So you need something equal or larger than both the size of the volleying regiment and the target regiment. So if you're a size 1 shooter and you're trying to shoot another size 1, but there's a size 2 thing in the way, you can't shoot. So being big allows you to shoot, but also being big allows everyone to shoot at you. Is kind of this clarification.
Yeah.
That's it. Cool. Scroll. Pass action. Basically saying what it does. A character or regiment can pass. The regiment passes without being chosen, having formed action. The regiment may not opt to pass any and all of its available actions. May opt to pass any and all of its available actions. So, just how a pass works. So you just can pass one action. You can pass both. It doesn't matter.
I think everybody was just playing with passes for the most part.
Everyone was.
Except for weird hard asses who want to make some strange technicality to gain an advantage, but otherwise what you had to do is get your bloodless guy on the point and then just never activate them again. Just always.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure some guy argued on the Discord, Leandro saw it, and the argument went like this. I'm in combat with a guy. I'm using my asshole nerd voice. I'm in combat with a guy, and I have 3 stands, and I declare a clash, and I kill my opponents, but they have 1 wound left. Now I have a second action, and they're telling me, now I'm telling them that they have to do a second action, and they can't combat rally because they're already rallied, and their initial plan was to kill me and march away, but they didn't kill me. So, and they can't inspire for some stupid reason because they're playing Old Dominion. And so they have to withdraw, and I want them to withdraw so that they can take some damage, and I can get shit like that. Like, don't do that. Like, what is going on? Like, you see how ridiculous that is? I didn't even make a cohesive sentence. But that's
It is.
basically
I'm
what the
struggling to
argument
think
was.
of like what the actual use case for this like the pass problem or the lack of passing was, but I can't even remember
It
what
was
the
literally
actual
that. Like, they were basically like, oh, like, okay, here's the thing, because like you can't take aim because it's an out of combat action. You can't ball barrage because it's an out of combat action. You can inspire, but if you have for some reason can't inspire, dread. No, maybe you can't inspire if you dread. I don't know. Anyway, you can't inspire for some reason. Maybe you're playing Old Dominion, but your plan is to clash, but you don't kill the enemy regiment. And like your plan was to clash and then march off, but you don't kill the enemy regiment with the clash. Now you have a second action, and people are like, well, I just pass. Like, whatever, I don't do anything because I have nothing to do. And they're like, well, you got to take a second action. And it's like, what, really? It's like, yeah, see, it says right here in the rulebook, you got to take a second action. Yeah. It's like, well, I can't inspire because of, for some reason, or I would just for shits and giggles. I'm not going to combat withdrawal. I'm not going to combat reform because it's a MSU versus a MSU or a one stand now or something. Like, because you're just going to take free damage. I can't rally because I'm not broken. Like, you know, there's stuff like that. And they're like, well, you have to choose one. You have to do it. And, you know, someone was a hard ass about it. Someone showed up in the Discord about it probably at some point. And now it was kind of like, because I do remember this being talked about the Discord where it's like, well, you got to take both actions. And, like, you know, Lee Anderson Parabellum saw that and was like, no, it's stupid. Here's the pass action. Go do that.
Yeah.
So it's literally in the rules to tell, like, that guy to stop. Like, play the game. This is obviously not, like... If you want a rules lawyer, there's other games for that. Go play chess.
Yeah.
But I remember there was a discussion in the rules channel of the International Discord about it, and it was just like, what the heck, guys?
Yeah.
Oh, there's pass again. I'm just scrolling down. Wound allocation. Pretty pictures. Wow, we're just really going hard here. I need to... scroll. I feel like I might miss something. I'm on chapter. Okay, here we go. Maybe did I miss something? Fuck. I swear I missed something.
I mean, did you scroll past combat reforms?
I totally did. That was the one I missed. I was sitting on it and then I scrolled because I was doing my stupid rant on passing. Where I'm like, just play the game. You want to read this one out?
Sure.
Okay.
Just the red text parts, I guess.
Yeah, unless like the regular text helps clean it up a little to make more sense.
No, I feel like if you're listening to this podcast, you have a basic grasp of how a reform works. Not to be rude. So for a clean reform, the text that's changed is if your regiment performs a clean reform, the reforming regiment immediately adopts a new legal formation. Then it may turn to face any direction. See page 13 for more on legal formations. The center of the regiment must not move a distance greater than the lowest march characteristic of any stand in the regiment. And no stand may move further than its march characteristic. Finally, the reforming regiment may not find itself in a different facing of the engaged regiment than the one it was in before performing the reform.
That was the change right there.
Yeah, and then the fighting reform is essentially unchanged, but finally, the reforming regiment may not find itself in a different facing of the engaged regiment than the one it was for performing the reform.
Do you want to talk about this change, or should I talk about this change?
You're probably going to be more tactful about it than me, so
okay.
Perhaps you should lead the way.
I will tell the story. So there was a gentleman in the International Discord who said that you could combat reform into the side of your opponent's regiment in the flank if you had the same amount of stands in contact as you did before in the front. An email went out to Leandros, and Leandros said, no, that's stupid. So he has put in the rules, no, don't do that, you can't do that. That is it. You cannot combat reform, fighting reform, into the flank of your opponent's regiments. So don't try that. Like that, yeah, because it doesn't make sense. Like, oh, they're moving over there. It's like, well, why? Like, why would anyone let that? They would just all like slowly shimmy to counter them. Yeah, they are slowly shimming to try and get around. Like,
but hear me out. Imagine two anvil units in spinning around each other like binary stars.
I wanna
as they flank into each other, as they reform into each other's flanks over and over.
I will load up Dark Souls 1 and I'll do some high-end Dark Souls 1 PvP. And it's literally people just running around in circles trying to get the backstab off into other people.
Yeah.
That's how Dark Souls 1 PvP works. And they just spin in circles. So yeah, no. The big change on here is that you can't combat and fighting reform into someone's side. Like it's just another thing where it's like, you know what? It came up in discussion. Some guy thought you could. A lot of people were like, no, you can't. Leandros looked at it and was like, no, this is dumb. And there you go. There's your answer. You can't do that. And so to clarify that for everyone else who was like, oh, maybe this is a thing you could do. You cannot do it.
No.
You
can't electric slide into the flank.
Go, my horses. You walk sideways now.
Yeah.
Pass again. No one cares. Oh, yeah. Now I got to scrolls really far. I am glad we talked about that. Was my tactfulness good? Was it good enough for you?
Well, better than I was going to do, so yeah.
Okay, sweet. I was still kind of rude.
I was going to name names.
You were going to do some name dropping because we know who it is. Here we go. Character stands. Character stands lose their type and class. They gain the type and class of the regiment they adopt into or are attached to. Character stance. Oh, okay. So Leandros talked about this in the interview episode. If people listen to that, so character stands have to be in the center and next to the regiment's command stand. In case that there is no command stand because the regiment does not have a leader, the character will now be in the center. There you go. That's the change. Goes into character wounds. No one cares. Character stands and attached regiments. This just goes into, at the start of the game, you choose the character. This goes into the draw your next command card part. Do you want to talk about this? This is on page 75.
75. Yeah, sure. I'll leave that up. So character stands and attached regiments. Once the character stand's activation is completed, you may choose to immediately draw your next command card and reveal it. If the command card belongs to the regiment this character stand is currently attached to, and the regiment has not activated this round, you may immediately activate it. If not, return the command card to the top of your command stack and play passes to your opponent. Monster regiments cannot be activated in this way. These additional activations may not result in any further drawing of command cards from your command stack. If a rule would normally allow you to do so, ignore that rule entirely. It is entirely possible that a character stand may activate without necessarily also activating the regiment that they are currently attached to. This in fact allows players to fine-tune their activation timings and give them an edge throughout the battle. Italicized note. It is often beneficial during play to activate a character stand only to interfere with your opponent's plans and stagger your activations.
Sweet. A thing about that italicized note is that I know there were some people complaining that melee characters don't do anything. They are 100% there to duel, rally, and then also be dead draws in your command deck to bait out your opponent. And it's in the rules with that italicized note. I just want to point that out because some people are like, this is dumb. I'm like, guys, like this is about the strategy of the game. Like this is a very fundamental part that a lot of players have to learn, and a lot of players learn it very early on.
The note is very funny to me just because it's like that's how you manage you get a lot of extra control in terms of your deck and your activations just by having those characters, so it's super valuable to have that in almost any scenario, and it feels to me like it should be intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it's not immediately obvious in some cases. I do think it's funny that we went from having seize the day to no seize the day to a little seize the day.
Seize half the day.
Yeah, seize the morning.
You're only productive in the morning. So here's the thing about this change in rule with the characters and regiments. I like it a lot. I think it gives a lot of benefits to buffing characters. So Theus Priest, Chapter Mages, Earthdwag, any of like the Hierodeacon, any of the support characters that are casting support spells. I think it really helps out the support casters who would traditionally lose a lot of tempo if you're using the support caster, while now you can get an activation out if it's their regiment, what is sometimes kind of good and sometimes kind of bad, because you want to get that buff spell out on something else, and then you want that thing to go, while it's just with the thing your caster's in for a regiment. So there's times where it's like, okay, you can move your caster around to get into a better position. I also do think it's good for offensive casting characters, so like a tempered Dweg who's like shooting out fireballs, or a magma Dweg, but not as good as the support casters, because with offensive Dweg, you tend to want your regiment to activate first, so that you can make sure you're within range, and then shoot off all your attacks and spells and everything. While with support, you want the support guy going first, then the regiment going. So this is more tuned towards the support to give them benefits, what I do like, because support casters and characters were kind of falling behind a little bit. There is a funny thing with Spires, where a Spires Ferromancer can draw their next command card, activate that regiment within 10 with something else. So character does that by Ferromancy to draw the next command card. What's that regiment, like 10 inches away, and then they draw their next command card. What's the regiment they are in, to do stuff. So Spires players can really do some ramping with this rule, what I found really funny. I don't mind that monsters can't be activated out of it. That's a good little. I don't want to say tone them down, but a lot of monsters did get a little bit of got some help this update. These additional activations do not result in any further drawings of command cards from your command deck if a rule allowed you to do so. So, I guess Spires.
People were coming up with these insane activation weaves that they came up with, like how you could technically get 6 activations at a 1 type thing, and now they've put language in the rule that you can't.
Okay, so they shut that down. So that Spires one where they make the other regiment go and the regiment they in still works, but yeah, no, I get that.
That one sounds like it would work just because it procs without having to activate the Seize the Day effect. But with people were like, oh, you do I don't know. They were coming up with all this stupid stuff. I don't want to repeat it because it's all wrong anyway. Nonetheless, one thing that's also useful with this change as well, or at least changes how you might build lists, is if you have characters that need draw events and you're worried about them getting broken, you now have a mechanism to rally them without squandering any actions.
Oh, that is true.
Have an embedded character rally and then immediately seize the day into your guys, and then just have them do their thing. So that feels like,
I like that.
I normally wouldn't take a blooded with trolls, but I feel like if you know your trolls are going to get hit, that's maybe a useful choice, just because then you're going to be sure that you always get those regens.
I know. I like this rule a lot. I've seen a bit of action. I like where it's going. And I think it really helps out support characters, what I do like, because they were kind of falling behind.
Yeah, it adds a lot to the game, and it doesn't take anything away, and you don't have to necessarily change how you do anything either. If you just use your characters as stops, delays, you still have the option of doing that, so nobody's losing anything, but I do think it adds a lot of depth and a lot of options for how you can build your stacks. So.
So then we get into duels.
Duels?
Duels. Your opponent can now elect to accept the duel or decline it. If they decline, the enemy character stand regiment suffers a falling until end of round. Stands of the regiment cannot seize objective zones, even if a rule would normally allow them to. The regiments use the lowest resolve characteristic in the regiment. Cannot benefit from the inspired special rule. Reroll successful resolve tests of 1. The character stand cannot decline another duel until the end of round. Broken, not broken. I think it's actually slightly worse than being broken, because you get to reroll 1s on resolve and use the lowest resolve. So now that was broken. So now declining a duel is a slightly worse broken, but it does not count as broken, so you can't rally out of it to be safe. So this does a lot for duels. I don't think you build dueling characters. I think the people who are naturally good at dueling, Conagir, Holdray, anyone going up against a wizard or support character are still going to be doing well. But now it is... People might actually accept duels now to not have these negative effects. Unlike before where they would just rally out of them.
Yeah.
So I do like this change a lot. I think it actually does make duels more relevant without them being absolutely overpowered, what I do like as well. What are your thoughts?
Sorry, I was coughing. Yeah, I think it's a positive. Like, dueling was kind of just whatever. It didn't really ever come up unless you just got a real sweetheart of a engagement where you could just bully a caster or something with your more combat-oriented character. It's still risky to duel. Like, it is very much if both can fight, like, you could definitely accidentally just die. So
Yeah.
I think it's a good, but that's like good because it adds to the sort of the risk calculation that you're doing. So they needed to do something about dueling. I think this was a pretty much does it. I don't know what, like, I guess we'll just have to play with it for a while and see how it feels to really know if this was the right move or if there's something more to it. But yeah, I like it. I'm excited about it. Like, it even makes you, if you have some extra points, and sometimes consider even like optimizing yourself for duels just to maybe leverage that. I don't think it's ever going to become like a full-on like build to duel meta, but at least it doesn't feel like a complete waste of points now.
Yeah, like maybe you'll take one dueling upgrade on one guy because you had points left over. I wouldn't say it would be like an awful choice or bad. Maybe a little suboptimal for my honest opinions, but
yeah,
but if you can get it off, like these negatives are enough because it's broken but not broken that you can get some work done. I know a lot of language on a lot of the a lot of the rules that involve duels, like bodyguard and a bunch of other stuff that would traditionally counter this kind of thing because you couldn't be broken or you unbreak yourself, are declining this particular rule kind of thing. So it is being accounted for where it matters.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with it. I still think our dueling episode is worth to listen to, and then check out this little bit because my opinions changed a little bit of dueling. And I still see them a little bit more positively, but I'm probably still not going to duel because it's just, I don't know, it's just easier to kill off the regiment most, like 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. It's but sometimes you're stuck in combat and you get that character activation and it looks like it might work, and why not?
Under spellcasting, regiment or character stand cannot be the target of the same spell more than once per round. Spells that cause hits are an exception to this rule. This is to prevent buff stacking. That's really it. Cool, done. And I'm throwing stuff on the floor, doing great.
Yeah, but your triple shaman build can still Horfrost a single regiment 3 times in a turn.
Yeah, but you can only take 2 shamans because you're playing tournaments. Enemy interference, the color of the red 10 turned into like a purplish pink. That's it. I don't know why.
Hey, why not?
Here we go. Let's see here. Anything else? Dangerous terrain and perilous terrain got updated to say chariots.
Include chariots, yeah.
Yeah. Just going through terrain rules, draw events. Draw events didn't change. If there's any new draw events.
Nope.
Is Bionic Renewal a new draw event?
No, it's always been there.
Oh, okay, I don't really look at these. There's not very many draw events, actually. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Aim shot is literally inspired, but for volley.
Yeah.
If you get to 5 or greater, you do not receive a +1, but instead of reroll unmodified rolls of 6. Who the hell has a volley of 4 base?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess that's future proofing, but I don't think anything has base 4.
Yeah, no, it's like crazy if that's like what they're shooting with aim shot. Like, geez. Do you really want to go through all these? A lot of these kind of...
So I think we can give a synopsis to our listeners. So generally speaking, most of these rules were just cleaned up.
Yeah, so these are the special rules, just an FYI. Yeah.
Yeah. So whether it's to clarify what phases the special rules apply in, or technicalities that have come up, things like that. Generally speaking, mostly they were just getting tightened up or clarified. Bloodlust got some changes that are probably worth getting into. So just
Hold on. I want to do bodyguards first. When a character stands currently attached to your regiment with his special rule, the character does not suffer the usual negative effects of refusing a duel. Done. Yeah. Bodyguards, useful. Actually might be useful.
I mean, it's way more useful now.
Actually useful.
In light of that, but I don't think I've ever run into a unit that has it.
Useful.
Yeah. If you do find one, take it.
Nah, I think the Anathan toy have it, but I also know not a ton of people play them. But we will talk about them when we hit Old Dominion. Please talk about Bloodlust, though. I was being a funny Billy.
Mm-hmm. So Bloodlust. A regiment with this special rule may perform a charge action even in the round in which it arrived on the battlefield from reinforcements, or even if it is currently broken.
Mm-hmm.
When a regiment with this special rule is currently on the battlefield and takes an action, if the regiment is not in contact with an enemy regiment, roll a d6. If the result is less than or equal to the highest resolve characteristic in the regiment, you may perform an action as normal. This roll is not affected by special rules that allow you to automatically pass a resolve-related roll like Indomitable. If the result is higher, you must perform a charge action against the closest enemy regiment in line of sight and within the regiment's maximum charge distance. If there is no eligible target to charge, you must perform a march action directly towards the closest enemy regiment in line of sight. If there's no enemy regiment in line of sight, you must perform a march action directly towards the opponent's reinforcement zone. A regiment must always march to its maximum march distance when forced to move as a result of this special rule.
So now you can no longer just shove your butts in front of people and not have to look at them. You have to go towards your opponent's deployment. Yeah. You have to get closer.
Yeah, you have to get closer. Now, one thing I know I'm actually wondering as well is, now that pass is codified as an action, do you have to take a bloodlust check to pass?
Pass specifically says it does not count as an action.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I did. Mind. I shot that in the rules channel, and I was told it's not an action. And I looked at it again, and I'm like, yeah, it says it.
Yeah, so fair enough.
You can pass and take no bloodlust roll.
Yeah, but otherwise bloodlust roll. And now it's there. Before, if you couldn't see an enemy, like if you had no line of sight to them whatsoever, like you were still good.
Yeah.
It was just whatever. Not no more.
No, you're going straight for
now. You're bloodlusting whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, that's about it. Yeah. Which is good. Like, it's so people don't understand that this rule isn't good. It's bad. Like it's a well designed rule, but it's not good for the unit that has it.
Yeah. It's a tax on your regiment for lore purposes, for balance purposes. Of like, this is a rule you don't want to have, because if you look at Sorcerer Kings, we're not going to talk about them today, but one of their rituals is Intrusive Thoughts, which says, put Bloodlust on an enemy regiment within 12. Like, if people wanted that as a buff, why are you throwing it on an enemy regiment? Because there's times where Bloodlust takes away your control of the battlefield. Yeah. It is not something you want to necessarily use. Like, there are times where there's some edge cases where it is an advantage. But a lot of the times, it is a negative rule that you just have to deal with that could screw you over. Like, oh, you're within a charge of 11 inches of me. Well, I have to roll Bloodlust. Oh, I rolled a 1. I go, what? So what? If you fail Bloodlust, you have to make the charge?
Yep.
Okay, so then I rolled, sorry. And then, let's say you rolled a 6. Oh, you now have to perform the charge. Okay, you rolled a 1. You move 1 inch forward. Okay, cool. Or maybe you rolled a 5, and now you're 5 inches up, and now your opponent's only wow, you are 6 inches away from me. That's an auto in. Great. That's not a good thing.
No.
This is a rule they throw on stuff to like balance it out, lore reasons. It removes control from the player, and it's just something you gotta play around and understand to offset its negatives, because there are a lot of negatives to this rule, and it's thrown on stuff to kind of balance it out or lore reasons.
Yeah.
That's why when I look at a lot of Bloodlust stuff, I'm like, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of like playing with it, because it just kind of sucks if it goes wrong. And it can go wrong. It's just one dice roll. No rerolls. One and done. And that's too much ambiguity and randomness for my own liking to win a game.
Yeah, even Resolve 5 Berserks, it
1 in 6 times, and you're gonna do what? Yeah. 2 actions per time, so like you might roll a 6 in your first 3 activations.
Yep.
So over 3 rounds, actually it'd only be a round and a half. So where is it? No. Yeah, 6 activations, so over 3 rounds. You could roll 6, and then you could fail a charge, and then you could be within charge range of something really easily, and it's like, wow, my Berserks are gone. Yay.
Yep.
It happens. Like, there's times where it's like, oh, yes, the Ashen Dawn are Resolve 5, and I'm going to take 8 wounds, and I roll, and I get like, oh, there's 3 6s. So I'm like, sweet. Like, it happens.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not a positive rule. It's a negative rule. A lot of these other rules on here are very much positive rules. I think that's really the only negative special rule in the entire game. Decay. Decay can go also fuck itself. So those are 2 negative rules that you don't want on you. Yeah. I'm going to talk about Forward Force. The non-monster regiment this character is currently attached to gains the flank special rule. I know the Imperial Officer has it, and basically just gives flank to the regiment he's in. Cool. Like, you'll see that on a bunch of characters nowadays.
Yeah.
A lot of these, just clearing them up.
Indomitable is worth touching on, though, because there's a bit of a change that I think can have an impact on how combats are done.
Okay, sweet. You want to read it out?
Yeah, so now Indomitable says, when this regiment rolls a morale test, treat one failed result as a success. In addition, regiments, including any number of stands with this special rule, ignore the fearsome special rule. Character stands do not benefit from the special rule during duels, unless they have the special rule. Furthermore, when this regiment performs a combat reform and or withdraw action, it counts as having performed a clean reform and or clean withdrawal, respectively. And so that seems significant, because withdrawals and reforms are generally very risky. I think everybody's played a game where either their regiment or somebody else is suicided doing like a reform or withdrawal.
That was on Indomitable before, back in the last update. I think it's I think this one's basically saying character stands do not benefit from the rule unless they have it.
I don't remember that having the bonus to the reforms and withdrawals.
I do, because I had Indomitable on the Imperial Officer and Steel Legion, and I was just reforming them as clean reforms into people. Yeah.
No, news to me.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess it's not that big of a change.
The last one I want to hit up here is weapon platform. This is on the chariots, and this is what I was talking about earlier, where I'm like, I think they can shoot at the sides. Weapon platform says your front arc is now counts as the flanks and the front for determining line of sights and checking for obstructions when performing the volley action. So that's how you shoot at your sides, because you have the weapon platform rule. Done. Just want to go over that. There's chapter 11, bankruptcy. Done. Always love that. Yeah. Should we get into seizing territory in the scenario packet rules?
Yes.
Okay, so this one we've had a lot of talk about on the BonkTable Discord. I haven't been following it a huge amount as I probably should, because I know there's something weird going on with it that people are trying to clarify. I have been mostly trying to assemble and paint horse for Adepticon, so a lot of the stuff I haven't been keeping on top of. I will read this out, and then we can kind of chat about it. Seizing territory. Victory points are often earned for seizing territory, battlefield quarters, center of the battlefield, objective zones, etc. The player with the most stands capable of seizing more total stands in range of an objective zone sees that objective zone. Light stands count as 0 for the purposes of seizing territory. Sorry. They do count, however, towards the total number of stands in range of an objective zone. If a rule would make a light count as X additional stands towards seizing objective zones, then these stands will be able to count towards the number of stands capable of seizing. Oh god. Mediums and heavy stands count as 1. Monsters count as 3. Should stands lose the ability to seize objective zones, they still count towards the total number of stands in range of an objective zone. Finally, when a stand is under the effects of an ability that allows it to always seize an objective zone, or a regiment counts as seizing an objective zone they are in range of, then the player in control of that regiment counts as seizing the objective zone regardless of other stands present in range. Only one player may seize an objective zone at any time. Okay. Holy shit, this was a lot, but I'm going to try and break this down. This is to clarify how you can score zones. I'm going to take out a lot of this extra terminology like seizing terrain because you're just getting on the zone. Lights contest zones. Every stand contests a zone unless it's broken or it's been hit by a spell. Actually, no, I believe even if it's broken, it still contests. So every stand contests zones. There might be something like a spell or an ability that might lose that contesting of zones, but every stand contests. Only mediums and heavies can seize zones or score them. You need more scoring stands than your opponent has contesting stands to claim the zone. Only one person can claim a zone. So if you have the same amount, you guys both don't get it, no one scores it. So if I have 6 mediums on a zone and my opponent has 3 mediums and 3 lights, no one scores because they are the same amount of contesting models to scoring models. There's a couple spells and abilities that allow lights to score, as we've talked about in Nords, as Dwagholm has an ability, as City States has an ability to turn those lights into scoring regiments. Wadrun has it, I think, on the Queen. So there are ways to gain that, but what you're looking for is more scoring zones, so mediums and heavies, scoring stands, than your opponent on a piece of terrain in the most basic of terms. I know there's a weird rules thing in here if you get into minutia of the wording, but this is basically what's going on. Cassandra, What's your thoughts?
I don't know.
Did I explain it right?
As far as I know, that's the problem. Is it's how scoring and contesting interacts has always been a little bit confusing, and this didn't clarify things at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a weird balance because I don't know that. I don't know. Maybe they just. This just annoys me. I don't like the changes they made here because it seems to generate some weird interactions that weren't there before or weren't immediately obvious before.
Yeah, there's a little bit of Parabellum needs a technical writer to just go through and write a car manual, but do it to the rulebook.
Yeah, and that might fix the problem with seizing territories, but right now it seems like it's just a little bit too easy to disrupt scoring without having to have the things that you actually need to score, if that makes sense. It just seems weird that. And I mean, there are people who argue that that's a balance, an intentional balance decision, I guess, and that might be the case. But I don't know. It's I don't care. Who cares what I think? It doesn't matter. They just need to fix these paragraphs. I don't care how they do it. Just do it.
There's a little I think a lot of the wording can be toned down or changed to be more palatable. Is kind of what I'm getting. Seizing terrain. My other issue with this thing is that this chapter 12, fighting a battle, kind of gets replaced by the tournament packet. So I don't even know if this is even relevant in the tournament packet. I'd have to go back and reread the tournament packet. But I understand why they put it here, but there's times where it's like this document, the core rulebook, chapter 12, and the tournament packet contradict each other in different places, and it's like, well, which one are you playing? Well, I'm playing the tournament packet. We'll take the tournament packet rules because it's written for that. While, are you going to be playing the 3 starter scenarios? 4 starter scenarios? Not a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't mind if they're in there, learn the game, play the game, but once, people usually get past that point pretty quickly, I find. So,
yeah.
I do think this whole, this whole section could just get tweaked a lot to just be more palatable to read and understand. Because it is a little oh boy, this is something that's big. That's the core rule book. Do you want to get onto Nords?
Yes.
Okay, so we are doing this in the order of the rules FAQ army list. So Nords was first, so we're just gonna go down. So it's not gonna be 100 Kingdoms for first this time. Nord, go ahead.
Hold on, we're just doing it from the rules FAQ list.
Yeah, so Nords with Druin.
Oh my god, that's so much.
City States, 100k, Spires Dweg. Is that easier for you?
Well, I was just going to pull up that document.
Which document?
I can't find it.
Oh,
now.
the
FAQ and errata or whatever.
Didn't they go
summarize all the lists? I don't know where it is now.
It's in PB News.
Yes.
Yeah, I put this stuff all on PB News. So it's super easy to get up. Hold on, what's the date on this thing? Because I'm pretty sure they updated stuff on yesterday. What's the 15th?
BonkTable. We're organized.
It starts with Spires. Do you want to do it this way? I was going to go through all the documents. Yeah. Oh, okay.
No. Well, how do you want to do it?
I wanted to go through all the documents because I like to look at all the pictures as I read through it all.
All right.
But if you want, we can do through the FAQ.
I'm going to just do a mix of both.
Okay. So do you want to do Nords first? Do you want to jump around for me? Or actually, you could check the FAQ and I could check the documents and see if we find anything that's not right.
There you go.
Yeah. Let's do Nords first.
Okay.
All right. First one, Supremacy, Shaman. Choose 2 friendly non-monster regiments for Vanguard. That's it. Monsters can't Vanguard.
That's fine.
Yeah.
This has been an update of Reigning in Monsters, primarily. Or not primarily, but, largely.
Yeah. Blooded, went up points, gained 6 attacks, has forward force, so you just flank onto the table with whatever regiment the blood's attached to. A lot of characters went up 10 points because they got rid of Retinue. That's another big change that happened. I'm actually kind of happy that Retinue's gone. What are your thoughts of the loss of Retinue?
It was a relic of 1.0 design, I think. When the system was a little more fiddly with upgrades, I think for the most part, it was almost never worth it to pump a ton of points into any of the retinue unless you were looking for a specific upgrade, or to activate, to fill the prerequisite for a trove find or something like that you were looking for. Like taking TAC 1 to get banners, things like that. But generally speaking, you might as well just... It's the same with the spells and aspects. You might as well just bake them into the cost of the unit and just make them options, right? So, or just make them part of what the unit is, as the case is. So, yeah, I think it's a good thing. I think it takes out a lot of unnecessary decision making that wasn't really super impactful, and the point differences probably aren't going to change too much in the first place.
I think it also does well for casters because they're all +1 wizard or priest level now. That's really nice.
Yeah.
So why I'm happy that Retinue is gone is that I don't have to get the models for it. So this is the thing about Retinue was that not every faction had their tactical, combat, or arcane retinue readily available to them. and some of them, and buying the 3 models for that, because the resin would cost you $45. $45 is unit merc crossbows, men at arms. Like you could buy 12 regiment or 12 models and a regiment, or 3 guys for your retinue, and you might not even use them all. And the reason why you have to buy them or do something, and I'll get into the counter argument in a moment, is because you need to officially represent them in official sanctioned tournaments. A lot of people, and now here's the counter argument, would just kit bash stuff together to represent that retinue because you just need to show it. I personally did not really give a shit about building, kit bashing, painting guys. Like I do kit bashing here and there. Like my mountain squires look like Chaos Raiders, and because I gave them helmets and shoulder pads and stuff, so they kind of bulk them out. It looks cool, but I didn't want to go out of my way to either kit bash 9 to 12 guys, what's a regiment at this point, or go out and buy the specific retinue models if for some reason they need to show the specific regiment models at $45 per. Because if, like, let's say I'm running 2 fully upgraded chapter mages, a fully upgraded imperial officer, and a fully upgraded noble lord, that's 12 guys that at $45 each. So was that $180 for 12 guys? Like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? So those are kind of the reasons why I'm happy it's gone. I do like they moved the upgrades directly into into the unit. The other thing is I wouldn't have minded if it just, like, if they either kept retinue but you didn't have to represent them. Would be another way to do it. Like, if people wanted to represent them and they were available, sure, whatever, I don't care. But if they said, hey, you don't actually have to represent these models, I've been like, oh, okay, cool. I don't. Yeah. But, people are going to grab it, people are not going to grab it. Everyone has their opinions on it. And if I need to do it, I would have gone towards the kit bashing route, myself personally, because I wasn't going to spend all that money on 12 guys, because that's, like, a box of Ashen Dawn costs, like, I want to say $75. Mm-hmm. That is the most expensive box I've bought so far in this game, is 1 box of Ashen Dawn. This game is actually pretty good on pricing, what I do like. Retinue going away, some people are not going to like it, some people are going to like it. I'm in the camp of liking it because it's just less stuff I have to deal with. So, yeah, there we go. Let's keep going down. Jarl, 95, 6 attacks, forward force. Sweet. Also, he gained a Jotnar in his restricted slot. Cool. Yeah. Shaman, 80 points. I think he went up 10. Pre 6. Hoarfrost spell, we'll get to you in a bit. Volva, 100, pre 6. Has no restricted. Huskarls and Raiders went into her mainstay. I think if you're taking a Volva, you're taking Valkyries. Simple as that. Like, I don't see any reason to why you would take Raiders or Huskarls over the Velks if you're taking a Volva. Yeah. She's just too much for him. Vogny Lord, Wolfpack got updated. Werewolves and Fenris regiments in this warband gained the Flurry special rule. It's always active regardless of the character stance currently on the battlefield or having been destroyed. I think that's just a clarification. Nothing else of him has really changed. For upgrades, only infantry character stands may purchase a banner character upgrade. So basically your TAC 1 is now no longer the retinue. You just have to be an infantry guy to carry a banner. This also prevents, because you also can't take Arcane 1 on a lot of people now. Wizard upgrades are basically for wizards. So you can't put, like, Elysium Fragment on the Imperial Officer to give to Gilded Legion or Steel Legion anymore. Yeah. So, retinue, the loss of retinue does affect some people's builds and creativity. So I will not, I'm gonna use this, I will not, like, show disrespect to anyone who dislikes that part about it, because it's like, no, that's fair. Like,
Yeah.
Options and builds and different things you want to do is always fun because you might find something that's people haven't looked at before.
Yeah.
Reshape Destiny 10 inches. I think it went up from 8. Target regiment rerolls all failed defense rolls until end of round. It's a good buff. Hoarfrost. Target regiment suffers 1 hit per success with armor piercing 2. If the regiment is engaged, it suffers 2 additional hits. Pretty good damage spell. Like it. Also, it's on the shaman, so he can get some work done, so he's a little bit more of a caster. I like that change. What else is going on here? Bocho, Defense 2, Evasion 1. That hasn't... They haven't updated the colors on that still.
Nope.
Trolls. Go ahead.
Yeah, mostly it was just little points adjustments.
Yeah,
the regiments themselves.
On the Yufnarl and the Bear Sharks, the Goatee's gone, and Yufnarl are speed 6.
No more blessed on the Sarks.
Sucks to be Sarks. Yeah, they're... I do... So, this was asked in the Nords chat to Leandros, and he answered, and it was basically... they look at officers as upgrades, and they're trying to reduce officers, because it's the same reason with Retinue. Like, if you want to... Like, you have to go have the specific model or some representation of that officer. And an officer, like, I think I bought... What the hell is it? A Drill Master? I have the box here. $30.
Yeah.
For an officer upgrade. Like, it's 45 for MSU of Merc crossbows. So reducing officer upgrades like that for cost savings, I'm totally fine with. That upgrade could be integrated into the Bear Sharks another way if it matters. And also he's saying, like, do Bear Sharks even need Bless? Is it part of their identity? And he's kind of like, no, so he just got rid of it. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice, but they don't need it. And also it would get... If you were cute about it, you'd just reshape Destiny onto them so that they would always have an attack reroll and then a defense reroll. And so that was pretty...
That was pretty big.
Yeah. Yeah, that didn't need to be there.
Sea, Mountain, and Ice Jotnar went up to 16 wounds.
No.
That is it. What are your thoughts on Nords from the changes?
I mean, it's just small adjustments. Like, nothing really changes the way that you're probably already doing things with the faction. The character adjustments are nice. Like, forward force. I played a game yesterday with the Jarl Supremacy in 3. Well, I was using 4 characters, actually. But 3 of them were in... Sorry, let me think about this for a second. Sorry, 2 of them were in lights. And then the Jarl and the Blooded, and both of them had forward force, and I was using 4 lights total, so like everything that scored got out. And then one of my other lights was flank, so I was really only rolling 1 die. So you still... Forward force really does seem to give you the ability to get things out fast if you're already building that way.
Yeah, I agree. I think Nords hasn't changed. Price drops or price adjustments are really nice. Buffing out the scares is really nice. Getting a little bit more wounds on the Jotnars is really nice because none of their point costs changed. Like, I know there was some like, oh, Nords needed more. I'm like, Nords is really strong.
No, Nords are super good. They're fine.
Yeah, like, you can't just don't run up into people's face and just like, you're not the apply axe to face faction. You're not like gonna dwag it up like that. I've talked to some players and it's like they've had success when you think of Nords as wood elves, where you're trying to outposition and control your opponent because all of Nords punches up very well, but it also takes damage. So it is a glass cannon and things do evaporate in Conquest. So it's just kind of like, you know, pick your battles better. You can flood the board. You can punch up into things. Like Raiders punch up very well for their point cost. Where Raiders at? Raiders, where are you? Yeah, they're 110 points. Like they do some phenomenal damage for what they're doing.
Fantastic.
I think these changes are justified, but yeah, Nords didn't change at all.
Nothing fundamentally. It's really business as usual. The lists that you were making are probably going to be the same as the lists you'll make.
Yeah. So That, like, okay. Do you want to rate all the factions at the end, or do you like? I feel like we should just do them all and rate them at the end. But I think Nords is really good still.
Yeah, I think they're definitely in a good spot.
Okay,
we'll do them all at there. We'll compare them all at the end, I guess, and try to.
You can give your wonderful rating of like 2 unicorns and a Jello cup.
Yep, exactly.
All right, let's get on to Madroon.
Okay.
I gotta zoom
From
in.
pleasure to pain.
Yeah, this is all you. I should have let you read Nords. My apologies. I'm just going around.
So quite a bit got adjusted in terms of what's happening with the Nords here. Just a moment. I'm just going to clear my throat quickly and go off mute. One moment.
Goodbye. They're gone forever now. It's just me. I can do whatever I want. No one can stop me. They're still gone.
I mean, that was always kind of the case, but
oh, okay.
Nonetheless, so starting with supremacy abilities for the Madroon, the biggest one I feel like is amongst the Chieftain and the Thunder Chieftain, the Shock special rule, which was previously encompassed under Shock Assault, has been split into 2 rules. So now the Chieftain gets Shock Assault, which indicates that all friendly infantry and monster regiments gain the Shock special rule. This supremacy ability is always considered to be active. Then Thunder Chieftain gets Thunderous Assault. While this character stand is on the battlefield, all friendly cavalry and brute regiments gain the Shock special rule. This supremacy ability is always considered to be active.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the long and short of it is, the Thunder Chieftain is increasingly less viable with that limitation on its supremacy ability. Because so much of that was getting shock on everything and how much punching power that gave the army. But if you're gonna have to, like, I do think this does open this up back to considering other supremacies, whereas before in its original form it was pretty much an auto win. But I don't think the Thunder Chieftain one, like, I just don't think we have the quality of cavalry and brutes to really justify it versus our infantry and monsters, where there's going to be more of a...
I don't mind that there's a separation, but I totally understand, like, why it hurts the Thunder Chieftain more.
It's just, it really narrows, like, you're basically just taking it for your Thunder Riders at that point, if you're doing a Thunder Chieftain Warlord. And he's a big tax just to bring on as an extra hero to bring on one of the most expensive regiments in the game. So it gets to be a fairly tough sell at that point. I guess we're going to see a lot more Foot Chieftains going forward. Or Tauntaur Rider Chieftains, maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, I kind of want to be like, oh, you take a Thunder Chieftain and a Tauntaur. Oh my god, but the Tauntaur's not getting shock. And you just, like, you have it for a big death ball, because, I don't know, maybe when Chosen of War show up, that'll change.
Yeah, I don't know. It's, I mean, I guess it makes sense, but it doesn't feel terrific either, so... In terms of the overall power level of the faction, like, it felt like Shock was doing a lot of work to get... to get there in terms of offensive power. So, and I don't know that we necessarily, or the Wonder necessarily has anything that compensates for it in turn, but things develop. Into the characters. So, Matriarch Queen didn't really get touched in terms of her stats or cost, but she does have now, instead of Retinue, she has Teachings of Conquest options that she can take. So she can either take Stoic to get Indomitable on her unit, for 10 points, or Voice of Conquest for 20 points, or that is to say, and that gives her and the regiment that she's attached to Cult of Conquest instead of the normal cult. That's something I always took on Predators with Slingers, because then you had a backline Conquest chant generator that would help smooth out your chance, and it would take, hopefully, a little bit longer than usual for them to get killed, so you'd have the benefit of that rule for a little bit longer. But now it's... 20 points to take it. Just that is cheaper than it was before, and it's it's easier to get because you just take it as a standalone upgrade. So I think that's great for Wadroon, where you really want both those abilities. Chieftain didn't get its points touched, but it did gain an attack. It also got the ability to take the Teachings of the Conquest ability.
Yeah.
And then he also gains the Tribe's Pride special rule, which means that his warband and any attached or regiments in his warband and any currently attached character stands gain the Flurry special rule. So that's very attractive.
Will you be running the Chieftain and Vets now?
It's worth considering at the very least. Like even getting Flurry on Blooded is huge, so I'm going to say that even just throwing all of your Blooded into his warband isn't the worst way to build a list, because that's an insane volume of attacks, and then Flurrying on top of it is great. Braves, who cares? I don't think they're a good unit. There's only one way to run them, and it's in a huge block with a Matriarch Queen, and that doesn't really fit with what I've been trying to accomplish.
That's a 2022. Ooh.
Yeah, a little bit. It's pretty 1.5 for being honest.
You gotta evolve and update with your players. Yeah. Get out of your big blocks and into Dino.
Yeah. Veterans might be okay though with these changes. I don't think they're exceptional. With the other adjustments that they got, they're starting to look a little bit more attractive though, which is regrettable considering I've built none because they were not
trash.
Good for so long. Yeah. But otherwise, yeah. Kind of the main thing there. Nothing really changed as far as the Thunder Chieftain. The Predator got forward force, so he can make a flanker. As well as an attack, he went up to 100 points, and he's also got the Teachings of Conquest options. So he's a little bit more attractive now. If you want to get another flanker out of your list, that's worse ways to do it than for,
I was thinking, I'm like, could you flank on an Apex Predator? I'm like, no, we just read this. You can't flank monsters in forward force. It specifically calls it out.
Yeah. Then we got the Mounted Predator. It's not out yet, and it needs a revision. So I'm not going to talk about it because just don't. If you think you need to use it, you already have a reason and you know what it is, and I can't talk you out of it. So
is it Brood of Ungora or whatever?
Yeah, it's usually putting a brood and then trying to get those early objective marker kills, but I don't know. It's just it's not really your first option there. Scion went up to 110 points, got Priest 5. Also gets the Teachings of Conquest. He or she, because now you have options with the Scion model, but they got, or they for that matter, get 2 additional spells, Discordance and Resonance. I'll touch on those in a minute.
I read Discordance as Discordance, and I'm like, what the hell?
Discordance. Either way, we're spinning. Yeah, so the same thing for the infantries and character upgrades, or infantry, character and character upgrades. Only infantry character scans can purchase banner upgrades, etc. Beads of Death got changed to give the regiment that the character stand is currently attached to Tenacious, which is a good upgrade. That actually makes it possibly worth taking. 25 points is maybe a little steep, but Tenacious is a good rule.
Yep.
Especially with a low defense army such as Wadroon.
Do we have to pour one out for the next upgrade?
I mean, we should, right? It's only fair because this is big. Well, I mean, it is and it isn't. It is, yeah. Okay, yeah, it is.
All right, I'll pour beer on the floor for that one.
Yeah, you got to pour it out for different reasons than people think they're doing it, though. That's the thing.
Oh.
So Mantle got nerfed. So now it only applies to infantry regiments. This is in all probability in response to how powerful Tauntors were, but a triple activation Tauntor just whips it up the middle and dies, so I don't know that it was the most powerful option for where to put a Mantle.
However, Thunder Chieftain Mantle was a thing with Thunder Riders.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it was
another good option because you could get to like War 3 or Death 3 or whatever the heck 3.
whatever you wanted to do, they were all. I mean, all the tier 3 chants were pretty good on the Thunder Riders, and I guess that was their undoing. But you're not doing that anymore, so
No.
I guess the only way to get Fnatic on Thunder Riders would be to win a duel.
Is that fucking rule still in here?
I assume it is.
Where's your army rules? Nothing changed in chanting, by the way.
Yeah, chanting remains the same.
Oh, it's Hymns of the Brave?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still in there. Alright.
Yeah, so you can duel yourself up some Fnatic Thunder Riders, but that's the bloodlust reinforcement charge of duels. Like, what is the scenario where you're gonna get in for duel when you're already engaged and can make use of being Fnatic? This
is the play in Worlds in the Conquest movie we're talking about after the guy lost the bloodlust Vanguard side charge. He comes out with the Wadroon Fnatic duel to win the game, and it's like, whoa! Like, something even more rare.
Yeah, everybody goes bananas.
Oh my god.
The movie version of us go nuts. The movie version of Ben throws his hat on the ground and, like, mashes into the ground and stomps away.
Is he the Russian?
No, I don't know why I've cast him as a villain in this. I think he just didn't believe in the main character.
No, he has to be, like, the main character's rival, and then has to train him, like, in the second Conquest movie where he's like Apollo Creed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, that would be the big moment. But yeah, so other than that, so the rider nerfs kind of hit
all the riders in Wadroon.
Yeah, so none of them really came out better from the changes to rider. Let's see. Oh, also there was a nerf. So Tauntaur rider, before you could use your Way of War ability on the Tauntaur.
Oh, now you can't. It specifically calls it out. Nope.
Yeah.
Nerf.
A chieftain attached to a Tauntaur has its Way of War abilities no longer affect the regiment the character stand is currently attached to. Rather, the chieftain may select a friendly non-monster regiment within 8 inches to gain the effect until the end of the round. This ability takes place at the end of the resolve draw event step before the character stand performs any actions. But that being said, like, because the chieftain shock assault now is for infantry and monster regiments, so. Oh, that's shock. Never mind. I was thinking of the foot. But okay, hold on. No.
Okay, what are you doing?
Tribes. No, I'm wrong. I misread the rule.
I was scrolling up to check, and it's like, nope.
I know. I was so sure of it, and then I got to the rule, and I was like, oh no, I missed a word. No, you're not giving. You might give the Tauntaur shock, but you're not giving it flurry.
No. Tauntaur needs no help. It's already crimes.
People are just, it's a psychological thing with the Tauntaur. Like, people look at it and get terrified, but there's really not.
I just remember when we had that one game and I killed it, and I'm just like, what? That okay.
Yeah, if you don't play right, it dies. It disappears.
Well, you can say that about anything in this game. If you don't play right, it just dies. It just dies faster.
True. That's true, but you look at the Tauntaur and you're like, that thing's going to be around for a while.
No.
Not if you do it right.
Yeah, no, that's I already have a plan. It's called What do you do to kill Ashen Dawn? It works the same way on a Tauntaur. I'll tell you that.
Exactly. But in terms of the spell changes, so because of the way character draws have changed, Crescendo had to change in turns. So now you add a Conquest chant marker to the sequence. Then you secretly look at the top 3 command cards of your command stack, and then you put them back in any order. It's actually a hugely useful spell.
I think it actually got better.
Yeah.
Like, by a ton, because then instead of just... Because it's a character, we already have sees half the day ruling in the core rules, Crescendo allowing to reshuffle your top 3 cards when you use the character. Really helpful for adjusting your play on the fly. Like, insanely helpful, because if you need to activate the Chosen or Conquest or whatever the Scion's in, you're good to go. If you're like, no, they can wait a bit, guess what? Good to go.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, also good to go.
Yeah. There's it's a pure benefit, and you can almost always leverage some kind of benefit out of it unless you already built your stack perfectly. But I know I'm not that person, so. On to Discordance, one of the new spells. This one is interesting.
It's Disco Dance or
Disco Dance.
Disco Dance.
12-inch range, attunement 3 scaling. Target enemy regiment cannot seize objective zones until the end of the round. It's useful.
You know what? I do like it because if you do your stack where you get in range and your Scion's last, and your opponent's like, "I'm on the zone, I'm gonna score," you can just tell them like, "Nope." I do like it, but I don't think it's not gonna get as much use as Crescendo still does.
Yeah.
Oh, Dissidence changed. Instead of discarding 2 chant markers, it's only 1 now.
Yeah, it's that with the changes, like there's maybe the odd scenario where it's going to be useful, but I just don't think it's great.
Yeah. Want me to read Residence?
Sure.
Yeah. So that one, target objective zone, enemy regiments in range of target objective zone gain decay 2 special roll until the end of the round. I guess you target the zone itself, and then all the enemies on it gain decay 2. But if they've already activated, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, so it's
a timing thing.
Yeah.
I think you're still crescendoing 9 times out of 10 with the Scion.
Yeah.
I do like there's a little bit more play, but crescendo's still the best choice and super strong.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about the long and short of it. This shutting off objective one is good. That one I'll probably make use of. But
it's funny. I think it's great. You can like totally mess with your opponent that way.
Yeah.
Should we get into the regiments themselves?
Yeah, so Braves got worse, going up 5 points.
120 is not a good point cost for these things.
No, they were bad at 115. They're worse at 120.
Yeah.
What is there to say? I guess the only no, I don't know. I don't know why they did that, but there we go. Veterans got a bit of a bump. They got their stand cost, I think it was reduced.
I think so.
To 50 points. They get free standard bearers now. So why wouldn't you if it comes to the standard bearer? I don't know. They still feel kind of middling for what they are, but with the buffs, like they might be worth it. When I have a chance to buy a box, I'll try running them and see how they go.
Just use your Chosen Conquest.
I'm weird about that. I just can't.
No. I pulled up the old document from the 9th. Veterans additional stands were 60 points.
Yeah. So 10 points down. So I mean, it's not a fire sale, but if you're looking to add a stand, any point reduction counts. Hunters, I feel like, came out really good in this, to the point where I think it's almost being ignored in light of all the bad things, just how much of a difference it is.
Loose formation is a huge buff to Hunters.
Yeah, for Hunters, it means that they can win shooting engagements with other shooters.
It's really... Can I say something about shooting here? As a 100k player, it's really funny because like as I look at 100 Kingdoms quantity shooting versus a lot of people's more quality shooting, and some of the stuff people get like loose formation, I'm just like it's slowly starting to push me away from guns because the initial fights a lot of people have in the game are shooting offs, and if you have better guns, you can kill your opponent's shooting, and then you can use the shooting to your advantage later on in the game as the game goes on.
Yeah,
and I find 100k kind of loses that gun war unless it's taking a lot of guns. But then you're not taking other things to help you actually close out and win the game. So as more of these buff comes out to support more guns and other factions as a 100k player, I start looking at less guns kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's something I've just noticed in myself as I play the game. I just wanted to kind of talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like, games like this are very fun and interesting, but if you approach them from like how do I conduct a war optimally standpoint,
Get a
like
good gun.
eventually a huge volume of low quality shooting is going to outperform every other form of getting into the guy's face and kicking the shit out of him based warfare that exists prior to that.
Yeah.
It doesn't. The bullets don't have to be good if there's a huge amount of them.
I think what was it during when they kind of started giving like assault rifles to soldiers, the amount of misses like went up. Like people were missing like 10,000 shots.
Yeah,
Just went up insanely amount, but they were killing like the same or more people.
yeah, that makes sense.
This is
So,
quite
yeah.
funny.
If you just whip an acre of bullets at a guy, it doesn't matter how strong his horse is.
Yeah, that horse will go down.
Yeah.
You want to talk about your boys, the Warbred?
Yeah. So I don't know if other people are feeling this way about it, or this is just strictly a Cassandra observation, but 190 points is good. Like, they needed a point reduction, among other things. They lost Burnout, but Burnout, I think, was a bad decision generator more than it was a good special rule.
Mm-hmm.
They gained a wound, which they sorely needed. But the problem for me is 190 points means that they're like competing with a bunch of other stuff in the list. Just on strict points value. Like, I mean, none of those options are really very good at the moment, so they kind of just, like, they become the most attractive 190-point option at the moment. But if you imagine a world where the Apex Predator and the Raptor Riders are really good, then it becomes less compelling to take them. But at 190 points, like, they are a good amount of output for the point value. They are fragile.
Their defense rate resolve 3-6 wounds. Like, it's not a bad stat line. I think their big thing is that they're Clash 2.
Yeah,
Like,
that sucks. But
you
that's
really need that
shock.
shock. But then you're playing a Thunder Chieftain, and
then you have 2 units that are benefiting from the shock.
It's really weird with Warbred. Like, maybe making them Clash 3 base. Like, I would say they're Cleave 2, but then they're also on 190. Like, I would say just make them Clash 3 base. Screw it. Then like 6 wounds, Clash 3 base, Resolve 3, Defense 3, like Cleave 2, Impact 2, Relentless Blows, Speed 6. You have Steel Legion. You have more expensive Steel Legion with Chance. I think that's fine at that point.
Yep.
It's because they're not accurate enough.
Yep, that does hurt them. And shock helped mitigate that, but even then going up to Clash 3 is like Clash 3 and Clash 4, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, so where it's at.
Yeah, hunting packs went down a little bit.
Oh, really? So they went up.
No, they were 125 before. Now they're down to 120. Hunting packs are a really underrated unit, but they do require, like, you have to use them well, or they're going to be bad. But if you use them well, they're glorious.
They're a pain in the ass, that's for sure.
Yep. But 120 points just makes them easier to throw in there, so why not?
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the shit doesn't change too much. Apex Predator gained an inch of movement and a wound.
Yeah, it stayed the same. That does help. Gets the Apex in there, sticks it around a little longer.
It helps, but it's still not there.
You still have a Tauntaur.
Yeah.
Want to talk about the Drum Beast and Tauntaur? Like, that's kind of the big two.
Yeah, those probably are the big two. So some things got shifted around on the Drum Beast. Its points got dropped because I remember it was weirdly the more expensive option of the two before, even though it felt like more of a.
And it was the most. It was
unit.
more expensive and it did less damage.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they swap points.
Yeah, essentially. So the trample on both of them dropped from 10 to 8, which is a start. Trample is very overtuned. Still, so that might be a little bit oppressive just the same.
But even if it was doing more front-end damage of like auto hits, roll your defense, roll your resolve, reducing it from 10 to 8 does help. So it's not as oppressive. And then swapping the points I also think does help as well.
It's they also changed trample, it looks like. Wait.
I don't think they did in the core rules.
No, they didn't.
No, it's still the same.
Yeah, it's basically the same. It looks like it was cleaned up just a little bit. So yeah, 8 hits, still quite hard. So the draw event that you would previously have gotten on the Scion, for having the Tonto Rider and being on the Drum Beast, is now just the Drum Beast straw event. So now you just
Make more
get
chanting.
an extra token. Yeah. So fine. You're not going to turn that down, but nothing really to dwell on.
I think. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That's kind of like the end of the list, and I think Dwayne got hit the hardest in this update. I think they received a ton of nerfs compared to a lot of other people and what they're doing. Like Nords, yes, got nerfs, but it fundamentally did not change anything the players were already doing.
Yeah.
However, with with Droon, these nerfs hit a lot of key things in with Droon. I don't know if you had a chance, but Apex Chinchilla did his rant about the update specifically for Droon. I would recommend people listening to that. It's very good. He has a good discussion about it, what really breaks it down into way more detail than I believe we are going to be doing today. Cassandra, if you haven't listened to it, I'd say give it a listen. It's pretty good. Yeah. You can tell he goes through the whole bottle of wine because that's how a lot of people are feeling about Wadroon. Like I think Wadroon got beat over the head in this update. Like the buffs to them were very minor. I don't think they really affect a lot. For what I'm hearing about Wadroon, it's going to be less dino, more infantry is kind of going to be the way to play. Like blooded with flank blooded are still really strong. Getting that melee or the foot chieftain to give them all shocks still really good. But I don't think you're going to be running as many dinos as you were before, or Thunder Riders as you were before. Like they all kind of got hit. So yeah. Like you're the Wadroon player. How do you feel about Wadroon?
I mean, not relentlessly positive about them right at the moment. They definitely do need work. Yeah, it's like I found a list that I'll probably try to run at some point, but I don't know. It's they just feel like they're awaiting a revision. Is what it comes down to, because it feels like it is just everything. There's so many nerfs that it now feels like it's probably unreasonably or potentially unreasonably difficult to succeed in a lot of cases, or you're having to skew into builds that maybe you wouldn't otherwise consider or don't want to do. And also, like, I don't understand why they don't want us to run a ton of dinosaurs when this is the faction that really puts asses in the seats in terms of, like, table appeal.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be real rough for Wadroon players in the future, going forward until maybe there'll be another update where Wadroon will get smoothed out, hopefully. Because right now it really sucks, but a lot of this update were bringing the top end down, and I know City States and Old Dominion were kind of like the winners, but they really did need to be brought up because of how weak they were. While a lot of other factions, like I know Nords got hit, but it doesn't fundamentally change what they do. 100K got hit, but it doesn't fundamentally change what they do. Like a lot of factions got that, but I feel like Wadroon just got hit and hit and hit. So I think Wadroon players are gonna feel it and not be too happy from my looks and understanding of it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Also, Apex Chinchilla's podcast is called Chanting Conquest. You can find it on Spotify. It's quite good. Dude does usually like a 30 to 45 minute rant about Wadroon. So if you want to learn Wadroon, he's a good guy to learn it. There you go. Yep. Should we move on?
Yes.
Okay. Old Dominions. Hopefully something better. I'm just going to scroll through this. Where is... Okay, so Dark Power Pool Tier 2, first thing. All regiments in the army use their memories of old action as a draw event or any action instead of only as an action. Sweet. I'm pretty sure that was in there already. I don't know why that got changed. Maybe it's just doing a clarificational thing. Cool.
Yeah.
Here's the big one though. Blasphemous Sona. Each round before the supremacy phase begins, add 1 power token to the empowerment pool of your choice. So this is either Fallen Divinity or your regular one. In addition, you may modify all your reinforcements roll values by +1. You must declare modifying the reinforcement roll prior to rolling. Example, rolling of 4 or less becomes a 5 or less. A roll of 6 is always a failure. So I do like that they give you the choice to modify that roll, because maybe sometimes you want to hold something back for some reason, but it's there. This modifying of the roll really helps Old Dominion out, as it is the medium heavy faction. Like, it's going to be running a lot of mediums, it's going to be running a lot of heavies. Mediums are kind of attacks, chaff what get in the way. The heavies are kind of the workhorses, what do all the work. Allowing them to be on the table sooner just by modifying the reinforcement roll is a great way to give them scenario presence without giving them speed, because Old Dominion is quite slow because they don't have very many fast things or things that shoot up the table like other factions do to build into their aesthetic. So I do like that. Blasphemous Sona just happening every round, also super nice, really helps out the dark power pool. I don't want to say waterfall, but like tier list as you climb it. So this change, fantastic for Old Dominion, helps a lot to what they're doing and how they do it. I really like it.
Yeah, it seems like they really needed it.
Yeah. Is it too strong? We'll have to find out. But I really like that Old Dominion got something like this because it does help them out a ton.
Yeah.
All the characters, I'm not going to go super hard into them, but the big one from them is they all gain the Regen 1 draw event. This does work on a Fallen Divinity, so get ready for that. Kiliarch, 100 points, 6 attacks, flurry, whatever. More damage. The Strategos actually changed to the point where people are probably going to be running this guy a lot for this one rule from the front. Regiments this character stands currently attached to count its class as light for the purposes of reinforcement rolls. The Strategos can take Praetorian Guard, Cataphractoi, Legionnaires, Centaurs, and Anathantoi. So getting this helps smooth out that early scoring, because Old Dominion had a very hard scenario presence. I find a lot of people are probably going to grab a Strategos. He has a great supremacy. Throw him in a unit of Legionnaires or Praetorians. He's probably not going to be doing a ton of damage because he only base class 3, 5 attacks, nothing else, unlike the Kiliarch. So, maybe having him some Praetorian Guard, but having him his medium regiment come on as a light really helps him get up the table and really helps him score those zones. Really like that.
Yeah.
Parabellum has heard just in these Blasphemous Sona and the Strategos, you can really tell that Parabellum looked at and listened to and saw the complaints with Old Dominion and what was not doing well with them and are addressing them, and I do like these changes a lot to make them better. Yeah. Mounted Strategos, Mounted Warlord. I think Cataphractoi are now mainstay. They went from restricted to mainstay, and he gained you can only have 2 regiments of them in your warband. It's fine. Yeah. So you don't have to Legionnaire attacks into them, which is really good. So you can build that one big death ball if you really want to, really easy. Yeah. Hierodeacon pre 6. He gained 2 spells. We'll find those in a bit. Acromandrite pre 7. Sweet. Fallen Divinity. Let's talk about this monster. It's now class heavy, but it counts as a light for the purposes of reinforcement. Does it still have flank? Hold on, let me go find it. Yeah, it still has flank.
And you go through this, I'm going to be away for just a moment.
All right, I'll just keep going. Let me know when you're back.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sure.
So Fallen Divinity. Big changes on the Fallen Divinity, what improves it immensely. Makes it more viable, what I think a lot of players are really going to like and enjoy. Class now heavy, but it comes in on as a light. This is Old Dominion's primary objective killer, because it's going to do trample damage, do 2 points, do clash, do 2 points, kill it. And it's movement 5 now as a light. Really good. Get up the table, kill objectives turn 2. Sweet. 12 wounds. I think it went from 10 to 12. Tier 2, 12 to 14. Tier 3, 14 to 16, or maybe it was 15 to 16. But like it gained a couple more wounds to keep it around a little more. It was a little like a tier 2 Fallen Divinity was on the same page as a Mountain Jotnar. Mountain Jotnar 16 wounds, Fallen Divinity's 14, but it has, Blessed and Terrifying and Harden. Like it's a little bit more durable than a Mountain Jotnar, even at 14 wounds. So it's doing good on tier 2, where you'll mostly find this thing and start getting it into fights. So hey, welcome back. I'm just talking about the Fallen Divinity. I'm just singing its accolades. Like I think the Fallen Divinity has really got a good glow up on what it's doing. It's still a big scary monster that you have to power up. It's more capable of doing everything it needs to do. I do like. Would I like to see other things done with it? Yeah, but for now, I think it's actually like playable and functional and will actually get work done, and people won't feel as bad when it's not doing stuff. Because now like your dark power pool is going up faster, the Fallen Divinity is getting its tiers faster, it's doing its stuff faster. Like a lot of stuff is happening with it, and I really like it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read the banner thing again going forward. We all know now infantry banners. Combat mastery. What we did in life will echo in eternity until end of round. In addition to suffering the regular penalties for reducing a duel. So what is this? When an enemy character refuses to participate in a duel at this character stand, the regiment is currently attached to reroll successful morales until end of round. In addition to suffering the regular penalty. So you can refuse a duel, like combat mastery, but basically says you damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny. Spells. Benediction of Black Sun. Target friendly brute regiment gains the blessed special rule, so that's really nice. You can throw that on Bucanatoys, the undead cows, because I think Canifers already have it. What's another one? Oh, Bone Golems can get blessed. That's actually a really good one right there. Makes them more of a pain in the ass to kill. Undying Devotion. Target friendly cultist or Hashashin regiment. Hashashin regiment. There we go. I said it right. Until the end of the round, each time a stand of the regiment is destroyed, add 1 power token to the empowerment pool. Pretty good. This kind of becomes a timing thing, but you could, if you're running a Hero Deacon in a unit of cultists, you could throw it on the cultist, and so when you die with your Hero Deacon, you get some points out of it. I don't really think you want to do that with the Hero Deacon. I think he wants to sit in the back as long as possible, so I feel like this is more of a timing thing of you getting it off. Benediction of Black Sun, I feel like you're going to use more than Undying Devotion.
Yeah. Almost certainly.
You want to read the Insanities change?
Yes. So Insanity Attunement 3 inflicts 2 hits per success on target enemy regiment. The enemy regiment rolls defense rolls using their lowest unmodified resolve characteristic instead of their defense. Wounds caused by the spell do not cause a morale test. For each unmodified resolve roll of 6, the regiment suffers an additional amount of wounds equal to the tier of the dark power pool. Yowzers.
Yeah, it's
that can get nasty.
That'll fuck someone up.
Yeah, that'll ruin your day.
Yeah, don't get hit by that. It's real good.
Yeah.
Cure stock going up. Cultists went down 10 points, still not out. Cures gained loose formation. I thought they already had loose formation.
Yeah.
No, okay. That's still good if they gained it. Let's talk about the Legionnaire change. So Leandros kind of spoiled this on his dev interview, but it's now out there, and I think it's really good changes for Old Dominion. As he said, Legionnaires were a tax to the faction, so putting that tax down to 100 points really helps out. Changing, they get a free banner, and their banner gives them +2 march instead of +1, so they're marching faster to get into the zones. And their command stand counts as +2 2 stands for the purposes of seizing objective zones. So if it's +2, wouldn't that mean an MSU of Legionnaires counts as 5 stands for seizing a zone? Thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I know the Dark Xenophies, Canophy. Yeah, that allows you to generate dark power pool points while you are on a zone. So you get 1 for every every zone you're on. I think you have to seize it. I can just go to the bottom and find out really quick. At the end of the round, victory phase, add 1 power token to the empowerment pool of your choice if you are seizing an objective zone. So, and on top of being an MSU with 5 stands for control, makes it really easy to. You can't just be countered by an MSU. You're 100 points, another 20 for a Dark Sun effect. This is a good combo. I really like it a lot. Memories of Old, changing to the seizing of objective zones is really good. Being defense 1+2, 1+ shield for 2, so you can die faster is really good. Like, their Legionnaires have a lot going for them as the Old Dominion tax.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of Old Dominion improvements here, what I do like. Athanatoi dropped 10 points. Whoop-de-doo. Stand Bear 5. I'm pretty sure it's a 5-point drop. 45 for additional, whatever. Parry special rule. I don't really think that got changed too much, but Athanatoi I don't think are being played still. They're still too expensive for what they do, and they don't do much.
Yeah.
Are they 160 on your end? Just want to make sure. Because
yes.
I thought I saw them at 140 at one point.
No, I'm seeing 160 here.
Yep, they're 160. Yeah, I would still not use these guys. Legionnaires just do it better. They're like, oh, their offensive capabilities and force people to kill them. Like, man, Legionnaires are run up the table now. You got the reinforcement rolls. They're super cheap at 100 points. Like, they're better. They're better objective chuds than Men at Arms because they're 5 points cheaper.
Yeah.
Big change on Varangis. They're down to 5 wounds instead of 6. Thank fuck. Did Busepiloi change? Oh, Busepiloi went from 5 wounds to 6. Pretty good. Their Clee 3 base, yeah. A little bit of Busepiloi stock went up a little bit. Differentiate them from Varangis. I think that's it, yeah. Oh, Apostle. This is an officer upgrade. Regiment gains flank, and when the regiment command stand is destroyed, the player gains 1 power point. I think that's on the cultists.
Yeah.
I think Old Dominion came out of this so far as the best faction, not in the game, but as the best one out of the update itself currently.
Yeah, it looks like it for sure.
Like, the Parabellum dev team went through everyone's complaints and how they played and really looked at it and helped fix a lot of its problems while still keeping its identity, what is really great to see. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Old Dominion now?
Yeah, they look a lot more capable for sure. They've gotten a lot of small buffs that I think altogether make them a little more synergistic, a little more capable.
Yeah, at some point I'll have to get an Old Dominion game in, but that +1 reinforcement roll for their entire army or entire fact that's huge. Because lights, well, they don't really have any lights, but they would be coming on 5s, so the Mories and the Curies are coming on at 5s. Turn 2, all the Legionnaires are coming on 3s, was really good. Turn 3, all the heavies are coming on 3s, and the mediums are all coming on at 5s. Like, it's just good shit coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's going to be a wave of undead coming at you. This was a great update for Old Dominion players. Like, yeah. So far, I'd say Old Dominion's come out on top of this update, and I think it's really pushed their level of power up there. So they're not second worst anymore. I could see them easily being in the top 3.
Yeah.
City states?
Yep.
All right. Looks like the first thing I found is that the auxiliaries for the Minotaur, Hespian, and Thyrian went up to 6 wounds. So it's a wound buff. It's pretty good.
Yeah. There's also those changes to the strategic stack.
Yeah, you want to read that?
Yeah, so the modified text is when a friendly regiment or character stand finishes its activations after the deactivate regiment step, while there is a command card in your strategic stack, you may opt to take a second activation using the regiment or character stand whose command card is in your strategic stack. Immediately activate the regiment or character stand represented by the command card in your strategic stack. This regiment counts as being under the effect of the inspired special rule until the end of the round, even if another special rule like Phalanx or Automaton special rules would normally prohibit the regiment from doing so. Once that regiment or character stand's activation is completed, play passes to your opponent. A character stand or regiment activating from the strategic stack may not result in any further drawing of command cards from your command stack or strategic stack.
I like this change. So it's putting some inspire into some of the like Phalanx guys to get them to hit better because they do need it. A lot of things that have Phalanx are like Clash 2 and you're like, oh, I don't care. But this helps a ton. On top of all the other stuff that's coming at them. Supremacies. The Aristarch got Supremacy changed. He still gets a +1 march from pulling from the strategic stack. It's always considered to be active until regardless of whether he's been on the battlefield or destroyed. Furthermore, once per game or once per battle at the beginning of the command phase, you may place a command card in your strategic stack. This does not count as being used as a strategic stack. And you may place a command card in the stack as normal as long as there's no other command cards. So you can kind of, once per game, you kind of put 2 stuff into the strategic stack, and it looks like at the beginning of the command phase. So do you just grab randomly, or is it your top card you kind of throw in there? I think it would have to be your top.
You just pick a card.
Yeah, because you haven't built your deck yet.
Yeah.
This command phases, I'm pretty sure, is when you build the deck. So that's actually really good.
Yep.
Eidolon, you can only have 2 Inquisitor regiments. Inquisitors are mainstay. Cool. Mechanics, Priest 5. Close the Gap. They gain the Unstoppable special rule. I'm pretty sure it's the one where you can... Unstoppable. That's the reroll charge one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. He gained a new spell called Torque. Torque it. Polomark, March 6, Attack 6. He also got Close the Gap, so he gives the regiment. He's currently in the Unstoppable rule. Pretty nice, because they don't have any banners. Aristarch, same thing. March 6, 6 Attack. Alright, doing good. He also got Selenoi. I think those are they might be the range ones. Are they the range ones? Let me find out. Where is it? Hoplites. Satyr. Celadoi? Nope. Where are they? Secret Band. Where are you? Oh, Jesus. I totally went past them. Satyrs are the melee ones. So the Celadoi are the range ones, and they are now mainstay. So that's actually really good.
Yeah.
Puts up Aristarch stock because he can get some ranged elements in his list early on.
Yeah.
Apache, Defense 4, Impact 4, Dread. War Chariots are restricted. I think they were, or I don't know, maybe they got added in. Who knows? Relics. Standard of Last Orient. This is a big one that got changed. The command stand currently attached to you it counts as +2 stands for the purposes of seizing. In addition, should the regiment be destroyed within the objective zone, if that zone could be seized, the controlling player counts as seizing it during the victory phase of the game. So once your regiment with it dies, you just auto control it for a turn. Really nice, great little play at the end there.
Yeah.
Aristia. Target friendly regiment within 8 inches treats its total charge distance as a march of value of +5 until the end of the round. This effect supersedes the Phalanx rule. Character draw event. That's really nice. You can character draw into your regiment with it, so that's great. The Phylactery Globe is 10 points now, so all friendly regiments within 8 inches of the character stand count as having Wizard 1 for the purposes of interference. It's a nice little 10-pointer there. It seems to be always on, which is really good. Charsor's Helmet. It's an armor. Enemy stands in contact with the character stand lose the Inspire special rule. In addition, enemy character stands participating in a duel against the character lose the Quicksilver Strike and Flurry rules. It's kind of like Banner of Dread.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why isn't it just says Dread on it, because that's basically what this is on top of the character. Alinta's Spear. It's 30 points now. Don't know what it was. Blade of Icarus is 40 points. It gives you cleave 4. Everyone's like, +1 clash, -1 attacks, cleave 4. I'm like, Jesus, that's a beat stick.
Yep.
That's a mean beat stick. A couple spells changed on the mechanic. Aggressive Directive is 12 range. Clockwork Parade. Target friendly regiments, total charge instances, March value +5 until the end of the round. Supersedes Phalanx. Great spell, really like it. Torque, target friendly regiment has its class become heavy until end of round. Really good. Kill an objective, sit on his own. Really nice. Promethean's spells attunement went from 3 to 4. Helps out a lot. Point changes on a lot of stuff. So I think a lot of this went down points. Like Thoric kids are 120. Selene. Fuck me. These are range satyrs. They're 130. Sillinor? There we go. Thanks.
Illinois, yeah.
Phalanges went down to 130, so the same as Hoplites, because I think they were 140 before.
Mm-hmm.
I still think you're playing Hoplites. Phalanges, you're not different enough from the Hoplites to justify it. You need to do something different, and you don't.
Yeah.
Ogma being speed 6, really good. They're medium with cleave. Sacred Band went down to defense 3. Feel like they were defense. Maybe they were defense 2 or defense 4. I'm not sure. They might have been defense 2 with the shield, so now they're just defense 3. Inquisitors, I think they dropped points to 200. Promethean 220. I feel like that thing dropped points. Is this the spear guy? Nope, this is the buff guy. And he's 16 wounds. Giant bonuses. Pestian, I know, is 250, so he's down to 240. So he dropped points and got 16 wounds. Both Minotaur regiments got up to 6 wounds. Like, this is all slight adjustments, but really help out city-states. Oh, here we go. Satyr Assassin. While the officer is present, the regiment command gains +2 attack. The regiment's command stand gets +2 attacks. In addition, this regiment performs a free additional duel action using its command stand during its activation. However, refusing duel does not confer the usual negative effects. If an enemy character has already refused a duel, then they may not refuse a duel again. So you can kind of try and duel out people with that. I'm probably not going to grab one of those, but it's fun that it's there.
No.
What are your thoughts on city states?
I mean, I played a game against them last night. They seem like they're in a better place. Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, honestly, I didn't have enough of a frame of reference with them to be able to say definitively like how these changes feel. But overall, the numbers look like they're moving in the right direction. They, like you said, them and Old Dominion really seemed to come out of this update the best. They needed it, so. Yeah,
a lot of stuff I've heard about city-states is that they were like 10 to 20 points overcosted than what they were, and there's a lot of 10-point price drops on a lot of things. What's really nice. Like, I think they want to keep that identity of like the old school Bronze Age fighting, where it's just like bands of big dudes and big blocks is battling you. Yeah. What's fair? That's the identity of the faction. But I do think, like, a lot of players are saying that they were slightly overcosted for what they were doing. And so, because there wasn't like big radical changes like we saw in Old Dominion, there was more smaller measure changes, but a lot of these were buffs. I don't really think there was many nerfs in this at all.
Yeah.
So, overall, I think City State's in a good spot. I don't think it's going to be doing like super amazing well, like in maybe in tournaments, but it's not going to be like you're done. Like I think City State's players now have more of a chance to win games with these updates. Yeah. What I do like. You want me to talk about 100K?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. So the first big one, Imperial Officer Rapid Deployment. We got to pour some more drinks on the floor for pour one out for this guy. You can only choose up to 2 friendly infantry regiments per round, currently not on the battlefield, to gain the Vanguard special rule. It used to be all infantry, now it's only 2. I agree that it had to be adjusted. I disagree that it had to turn into a worse version of the Shaman supremacy. I I'm kind of in the boat of I don't like when you start having crossover like that, especially in like very fundamental unique things about a faction or a character be the same as something else in another faction or character, because one of them is obviously going to be better. And I think it's the shamans, because he can do brutes and infantry or brutes, infantry, and cavalry, while the imperial officer can only do infantry.
Yeah.
It's still good, but I'd rather seen it become something unique than what it currently is.
No, that's fair.
Like if they completely redid it into something unique, I would have been much more happy.
Yeah.
Best of Men, it's 8-inch bubble instead of 6. Good. When his bubble was way too short before, this helps out a lot. We'll find out if it needs a little more, but this is still a buff.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of character points increased by like 10. Pro officer, forward force for that flank. Take 2 heirlooms. Cool. Noble Lord kind of got Foot Noble Lord kind of got the biggest glow up. He's 90 points, but he can take 2 weapon arcs or 2 weapon arts. He used to have Cleave 1 and Flurry. They got rid of a lot of his like dueling ones, instead gave him Tenacious for himself, +1 clash or +2 attacks. There is a build where you can basically get him to like 8 attacks, rerolling everything at like Cleave 2 or something. There's a build in here, or Cleave 1. Like he could kill stuff. Is it good? I don't know, but it's available. You can start doing some work.
Yeah.
Mounted Noble Lord. He can only take 1 weapon art, but he gets Tenacious. He can either take Tenacious or +1 clash on top of his Cleave and Flurry. I'm probably still going to Cleave with him. What else is in here? Not a ton of 100k changes, to be honest. Priest, 100 points. Priest 6, cool. Wizard, same thing with the Chapter Mage, 90. Priest or Wizard 6. Chapter Mage gained 2 new spells that they can use in every school. So we'll just go over spells when we get there. Did heirlooms change at all? Nope. Okay. Masteries change at all? Nope. Okay. Nuala's Tears. Target regiment heals 2 wounds additional to target healing. In addition, target regiment heals 1 additional wound per success. So if you succeed Nuala's Tears, you're going to get 4 wounds minimum to a max of 8. That's kind of nice. So makes the healing a little better, because her old healing was not that great.
Yeah.
The 2 new spells, Elemental Vortex. Enemy spellcasters count as having rolled 2 less successes on target regiment until the end of the round. Kind of funny if your opponent only has 1 target. And then Elemental Missiles. Target enemy regiment suffers 3 hits. The spell is automatically casted, so you just have magic missiles, and it's kind of funny. Sometimes you're just like, take 3 hits and die.
Yeah.
People will probably cast that spell. It's good. Magic missiles is never a bad spell.
Yeah.
Changes. Hunter Cadre 160. I have no idea what you were before. Why do I feel like you were 170 before? That's the problem. I am just trying to find out. Pure Ranger Corps, longbows, merc crossbows, militia bowmen, hunter cadre. They're 165. So what happened? They lost 5 points. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Nothing. Order Seal Temple 170 to 190. Very fair. Would I have liked them at 180 more? Yes. Would that have been better? Yes. Would that have been justifiable? Yes. 190. They're a little expensive, but also the power of Fluid Formation, March 8, and being an Ashen Dawn unlock is just really strong.
Yep.
But the big thing is they are still cheaper than Crimson Towers, so they are still better. Nothing. Ashen Dawn. They lost Wedge, and they are now 80 points per additional stand. So it's kind of hitting on the big block builds of like 5. So, but they still do their thing of being a big old tank, because they're still 6 wounds, they're still Resolve 5, they're still Defense 4.
Yeah.
Like, they're still fundamentally the same. Order of Crimson Tower went to 5 wounds. Differentiate them and make them a little more durable than like House of Knights at 5 wounds. A little nice, but it doesn't fix their main problems of like doing damage, getting there to deal damage. They still haven't fixed that, and that's the issue. I still won't play them because Steel Temple are out and they do the job better. What's unlock Ashen Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That like 100k was super easy, super like. Were these all nerfs? Yes. Were there buffs? Yes. Were they justified? Yes. Does that change anything I do as 100k or as 100k players are doing? Absolutely not. This update did not change 100 Kingdoms at all. If you've been having success as 100k, this update you're still going to find the same amount of success what you were doing before. You might have to adjust and tweak your list a little bit, but you're 100% fine. Like, it was so weird looking at these buffs as a 100k player, or not these, like this update as a 100k player, because I was just like, nothing's changed. Like, it's really weird because a lot of things we've hit on, like Nords with Drew now 100k, they were all brought down, while the two things that were weakest, Old Dominions and City States, got brought up. What's good for the game overall and for general health. But, like, this update doesn't change or do anything of how I play 100k. There's, like, this is so minimal, but it's weird because it had to be done, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
At least groundwork for the future as well.
Yeah, and my only real big complaint is that the Imperial Officer's rapid deployment should just be something completely different to not be the same as the Shaman. Because I'm like already comparing them in my head. I'm like, I'm leaning to the Shamans being better, and it's like, now I'm sad about the Imperial Officer.
Yeah.
You want to read out Spires?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So, first thing that we're looking at in terms of changes is for the Directorate Army rules.
Mm-hmm.
So for the Biomancer and High Clone Executor only, they get personalized epigenetic triggers. So while this warlord is on the battlefield, all regiments in your army gain the Burnout Draw event. However, only one regiment may resolve the Burnout Draw event each round. Regiments that already have the Burnout Draw event as part of their army list ignore this limitation. In addition, all Biomancers in the army have addition to the following Biomancies. Subdermal Keratin Induction. Target friendly light regiment within 12 inches changes its class to medium until the end of the round. This Biomancy can only be performed once per round, regardless of the number of Biomancers in the army. And then we've got Adrenal Surge. Target friendly regiment within 12 inches loses its broken status as if it had used a rally action. The target regiment does not count as having been activated as a result of this Biomancy.
Cool. I like the light to medium one. Get that scoring. Like that force grown drone block with the High Clone Executor doesn't change. You just plant the Biomancer right behind the High Clone. It's like, yep, they all score now.
Yeah.
Jesus. What else is in here? Supremacies.
Yeah, Supremacies. So Biomancer has proximity sensors. Friendly regiments within range of an objective zone count as if they are in range of friendly Biomancers for the purposes of performing Biomancies. The Supremacy ability is always considered to be active. So that sounds like it's a little bit similar to how the Dwaycom can use their officers as spellcasting nodes.
Yeah.
Can't they do that?
Yeah, they can, but also it ties into your what is it?
The medium grabber.
Yeah, the medium grabber. Really nice.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
Getting some synergies there. Nice.
High Clone Executor is at 100 points now. He gets to choose 2 abilities instead of just 1, is what I would have assumed it was previously.
Yep.
So that's fine. That seems cool. The Ferromancer, so basically there's just text indicating that a regiment cannot be affected by induced lethargy more than once per round, so I guess you can't
spam it.
Yeah, you can't just apocalyptically laziness somebody.
You're like, oh, your defense 2, now your defense 0, dead.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Oh, your defense 4. Now you're defense 2, and the Incarnate Sentinels are hitting you at Cleave, and you're dead. Like, Jesus. It's very strong, by the way.
But Mimetic Assassin, so he's got the special rule, right place, right time. It says, and they've updated the rules text on him to indicate that a Mimetic Assassin cannot be your warlord and does not have access to a war band. Instead, the Mimetic Assassin is attached to any infantry regiment that it is legally allowed to join.
I like this. So right place, right time. Basically gives you Seek New Escort while in combat and stuff to get places. I like that he doesn't have a warband because I found that was really restrictive with him. And now that he can just sit in anyone's, it's just kind of like,
yeah,
like it's. I really like that. It really allows him to be an assassin because he doesn't want to hang out with anybody. He needs to go over and kill a dude.
Mm-hmm.
So
I really empathize with that.
Oh my god. Am I gonna find you, like, breaking through my windows? You're like, I'm just gonna go kill a dude. I'll be like, ah, shit!
Well, I mean, I'd probably wait until after to tell you, but...
Oh, okay, thanks, man.
That's just good crime.
That's a good... Jesus.
Don't tell anyone until it's finished. Rule number 1.
We gotta pour one out for Bionic Hive and Burrowing Parasites. You can't combine them anymore. Stop it.
Yeah, you just can't. That's the deal. Antibiotic Hive is 30 points.
Yeah.
Degenerative Aura looks like it was made to be Bio and Ferromancer only.
Sweet. Screw you, Iclone executive producer.
Infiltrator variant gets 5 shots now. Burrowing Parasite also scolds you specifically. You little degenerate.
Yeah,
you're not getting away with this. Mastery of Flesh.
Yeah. No, go ahead. I'm just chuckling.
Master of Flesh. So that's for infantry Ferromancer and infantry Biomancer only. This mastery may be purchased by more than one character stand. The character stand may perform 2 character actions per activation. In addition, the character stand may resolve 2 Ferromancies or 2 Biomancies in each round.
Do they say if they have to be different ones?
It doesn't specify that, no.
I feel like it specified that somewhere. It might be on the Ferromancer or Biomancer himself.
I would assume so. In a way that doesn't make an ass out of you and me.
Yeah, maybe it's on, like, you can only try. I need to go find Biomancies or something else. Get out of the regiments. Just reading them quick. You might be able to stack them? I don't know. Some adult. Okay, a regiment cannot be affected by the same Biomancy more than once per round. It says it specifically in the Biomancy's text. Okay. Same thing with Ferromancer. Okay, there's the clarification. Thank God. Okay, so you can't hit the same guy at the same thing twice. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we go straight into Ferromancer. It's great. Go me. Thanks. Thanks, game. Answering my questions.
Sure.
Ferromantic Drive. Draw your next command card. If that command card belongs to a regiment within 12 of the character and has not activated, activate it. The regiment activates if this card was drawn from the command deck and may take 2 actions. Furthermore, it suffers Decay 3, Decay 4 if it's a brute or cav, Decay 6 if it's a monster. Until end of round, then the character stand proceeds as it's normal. Sweet.
Yep.
Nothing else to change Biomancies. Wow, there's... I'm like, am I reading this right? I'm like scrolling and there's like nothing changing.
Yeah, VCI went to Volley 2, it looks like.
No, that's a carryover.
No.
Yeah, that's a carryover from like May of last year.
Jokes on me. Brute drones got touched.
Yeah, they did.
Nasty.
They went from 150 to 170 because people were spamming them and they were too good to be spammed.
Yeah. Flurry is good.
Well, so what it is like, look at their stat line. They're Wound 5, Resolve 4, Defense 3, and Oblivious. Like, they are a very good, just, like, chaff anvil tank unit to just take hits and just stick around. Like, you need to have something that obliterates things to kill MSUs of brute drones, While stuff like Men-at-Arms, like MSUs of Men-at-Arms, Household Knights, or Household Guard, I'm just using 100k as an example, won't be able to kill Brute Drones, and Brute Drones will like slowly kill them. The other problem is that in Underspires, you gain regen 4, so slowly the Brute Drones are going to heal themselves back up to full.
Yeah.
Unless you wipe them, so it was kind of like one of those like what the hell is happening choices. So to counteract that and not to be too horrible to everyone and still keep the regen on Underspires, they went up to 170 to balance it out. So you know who to blame if you know who we are talking about specifically. LVO second and third place players.
Yep.
Cardinal.
And I've tried that list, so I can attest.
Yeah, I have played into it. It fucking sucks. The last thing here is the Danger Shrimp, what actually got buffed. I believe it went down in points. 8 to 10 attacks. I think it was Resolve 5 before, so it might have gone down to 4. I don't know. Maybe it was a Resolve change. 16 wounds. I think it was like 14 wounds. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's ruining the world because of its still low attack volume. Like, you gotta remember the Abomination has 10 attacks, and that thing doesn't really output very much. But I think it's more doable. Like, it's not as like this is just obviously a bad choice. Like, it's like, okay, you could do something with it now. It's more acceptable.
Exactly.
Calabolic node change. When this regiment declares a clash before performing, you may detonate the node. So this is to clarify that the node only hits one engaged enemy regiment, not a bunch of them. Then when you talked about right place with right time, it's basically seek new escort, but for the Mimic Assassin. Once again, bunch of nerfs for Spires. Brings their top end down. Be closer to the middle. Like, not a whole bunch has changed. What do you think?
Yeah, it just reined in the really crazy stuff, but overall you're still, again, going to be pretty much doing the same thing that you were always doing.
Yeah. Should we get to Dwag and then wrap it up?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the prophecy seems to be coming true, so...
What? Another nerf round, or?
No, a 4-hour record.
Oh my god. Well, I'm at 250, but then we had... Yeah, damn it. Fuck. We should break these up. Whatever. Let's burn through Dwag. Dwag, I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty sure it's just a bunch of nerfs.
Yeah.
Everyone but Sea States and Old Dominion were basically just getting hit by the nerf back because they needed it. Yeah. Prophecy of Alm. Infantry regiments with a character stand may have their command stand perform. Without character stands, may have their command stand perform a free additional duel. However, refusing duel does not confer the usual negative effects. If an enemy regiment denies a duel, it can't deny a duel again. That, clarification. Sweet. Supremacies. Hold Ray, you're the big one who changed. Characters and regiment command stands in this army count as 2 additional stands for the purposes of seizing objective zones. Furthermore, when a medium or heavy regiment that has this army's warlord character stand currently attached to it within range of an objective zone, it always counts as seizing the zone. So you have to kill the Hold Ray and his entire regiment to get rid of him from always scoring in that zone. So Hold Ray, get into like a big tanky unit and just sit on the zone and say, this is mine, go away.
Yeah.
Really good on the Hold Ray. I do like that supremacy. We're gonna kind of talk about Dwag a little bit after. Character, 10 points, become a wizard, Argent Kilowall. You're pre-6 now instead of 5. You gain 10 points. Big thing on him, Flame Berserkers are mainstay. Really good. Helps a lot with the Argent Kilowall getting on the table more, because that's the reason why everyone was taking him, was Flame Berserks. But he can only have 2 regiments of Flame Berserks in his warband. He also gained Fear and Rancor as 2 new spells. Tempered Sorcerer, he's 130. I think he shot up like 20 points for some reason in my head. But he's Wizard 7. Still really good. Stoneforge is restricted. That might have been a mainstay before, but the Stoneforge turned into a monster. Tempered Steel Shaper, Wizard 7, 120. Sweet. Stoneforge restricted. His indifference to life and dueling, like where he just doesn't, he can decline a duel. He doesn't get affected by any of the new stuff, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I would assume.
He doesn't become broken as a result of his character stand declining a duel. Oh, this needs to be updated to adjust for the new dueling.
Yeah.
So that's fine. Hold Ray, 100 points. Hold Thanes, he's currently attached to gain flank. Really good. I like it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, yep, strong.
Yeah, it is strong. I know Bailey plays with Hold Thanes all the time, so him getting flanked with those guys is super good. Yeah. If your army includes at least one Hold Ray, infantry regiments in your army may include a Mimomancer Apprentice set for the indicated point cost in addition to any others. It's kind of just his thing. I gotta read what he does again. Don't really care. I'm just scrolling through upgrades. None of the upgrades changed. Sweet. Masteries, clarifying the Hold Ray Rider rule. So he gets to be a rider and gains flawless strikes. Cool. Hellbringer Sorcerer Rider rule. Tempered Steel Shaper. Ferric Throne, 10 points. This character stand gains the rider rule and may choose to ride a Stoneforged regiment in his warband. When Stoneforged regiments with a character stand is currently attached to activates its magnetic conduct draw event and spends at least 2 elemental potency markers, the regiment gains blessed special rule. What the fuck is the holy shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about the Stoneforged because it turned from a regiment into a monster.
Yikes.
Tempered Sorcerer Magma School got adjusted. All its ranges, I believe that were 10, all got reduced down to 8. What's kind of nice because it was a little too far because you can bounce it off of terrain, and terrain it can look different per table, per meta, so ring that in is kind of nice. Pyroclast going from 5 hits to 4, reducing that damage a bit because you just hit people from the side, ignoring shield, doing armor piercing 1, so it was actually quite a bit of defense you were getting around.
Yeah.
Argent Kirawa, Dismay is 12 inches, attunement 3, target regiment suffers -1 to its resolve. Whoop-de-doo. Fear, target enemy regiment cannot seize objective zones until end of round. Okay, not bad. Rancor, target friendly infantry regiment has its command sound as count as +2 for the purpose of scoring. This spell automatically succeeds when target friendly infantry regiment has the devote special rule. Not bad. I don't know. You'll probably cast his spells on stuff, but whatever. I don't think he's your warlord, but I do think you might be taking Argent Kilowas for the Flame Berserkers because they're mainstay and they're that good. So
yeah,
I think you're grabbing him, 2 Flame Berserkers, and then more tempered. To be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Flame Berserk. Yeah, nothing changed. Fireforge, thank fuck they got a nerf. They're now Resolve 3 instead of Resolve 4.
Yeah.
They're defense 4 because they're 3 with a shield. What the fuck?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is a nerf, and it does help kill these things. Warden, speed 6. Sweet. Stoneforged, completely redone. So it is no longer a heavy infantry stand. It is now a heavy monster. Speed 6, 3 attacks, Clash 3, 10 attacks, 20 wounds, Resolve 4, Defense 3, and Evasion 1. Cleave 2, Impact 4, Terrifying 1, and Fearsome. It has a bunch of stuff, so it has a Magnetic Conduit as a draw event. And first off, it has Unstable Alloys. When an enemy regiment selects this regiment as a target of a volley action, the regiment gains the Harden 2 special roll until the end of its action. In addition, when an enemy spellcast selects the regiment as a target of a spell, the spell requires 2 more successes in addition to being successfully cast. Yeah. Anti-magic and gun monster. I really like that. That's pretty cool. Makes it unique. Yeah. This is a cool, interesting monster. Magnetic Conduct draw event. This regiment immediately spend up to 3 elemental potency tokens. For each one spent, it adds +1 to its +1 to its attack characteristics and counts as 1 additional stand for scoring purposes. Not bad. but getting up to 13 times, I don't know if you really want to spend your elemental potency markers on that. However, you can give it a rider to make it blessed. So, but you want to kind of bless defensively. I'm not really sure you'd be spending elemental potency markers on that because you'd also just reduce damage, like, and just stick in a fight longer. Like, I like this thing, but I don't think you're really going to be using a straw event that much.
Yeah.
Infernal Automata went down from Clash 3 to Clash 2. Good. Screw these things. They're super annoying. What else? Hellbringer Drake. I think it went down from 210 to 200.
Feels right.
Yeah. Because the rider rule got changed. But it's overcharge draw event is now just innate. So it's kind of nice. Maybe it went from 190 to 200. Anyway, it's fine. Minomancer Apprentice is the one I wanted to look into. Oh, basically does declining. They suffer all usual negative effects for refusing a duel. So Minomancer Apprentice, the regiment gains fearsome when this command stand challenges enemy to a duel. If the target enemy character declines a duel, they suffer all usual negative effects. So if you're doing duels with command stands, if you have a Minomancer Apprentice, people will not want to decline duels because they suffer all the negative effects of declining a duel. Overcharged. Okay, so Overcharge stayed the same. It's now a draw event that's on the Hellbringer Drake, but it specifically says it doesn't give it to the character. So I think some people are getting confused that you could give it to the character because the character is attached to the regiment. No, it's only for the Drakes. That's Dwag done. I like the changes. The Dwag changes are more balanced than some of the other factions who were just hit by, like, the Nerf bat.
Yeah.
Like, Wadroon just got clubbed to death in like, the corner with the Nerf bat.
Yeah.
Dwag's changes were more reasonable. They did actually get some buffs. Like, having Flame Berserker mainstay is really powerful. There's a couple hold rate buffs that are really nice to make him more appealing. There were some more adjustments to some units. But overall, like, once again, fundamentally, Dwag has not changed. If you're playing Tempered Sorcerer, if you're on Hellbringer Drakes, if you're, having your melee front with your gun line doing your damage, you are still playing Dwag. This update has not changed anything of what you're doing.
Yeah.
You have lost a little power, and there's something that I haven't mentioned here. Arcane 3 used to give you 1 free success. That's no longer a thing. No one has 1 free success while they cast spells. Focus is still around, however, so there's some of that going on. So there's going to be less damage coming out of Dwag just because that 1 free success is gone, because a lot of Dwag players would just pound it out so they have everything. But you kind of don't need it. So overall, I do like the Dwag changes more. There were some more buffs, I would say, but there was nerfs. But I really like. What do you think about Dwag?
I don't know. Since I haven't gotten a ton of games with them lately, so I don't have a great picture of how they're doing. A lot of the stuff, I don't know. It just seems like I brought them a little bit closer to the baseline for the most part.
Yeah.
Or to the median, I guess would be more accurate. I don't know how necessary an event felt to me, but I don't have the practical experience to inform that. But nothing seems too terribly out of line either, or too punitive, so fine, I guess.
Yeah, so, dear listener, I really want to say that this update brought the bottom and the top closer together, but the game kind of needed as they were starting to stretch themselves too far. Like, City-States and Old Dominion were not good picks for factions before this update. Mm-hmm. A lot of the factions that got hit by the Nerf bat were doing really well. Dwag, 100 Kingdom Spires, Wadroon. Who else was there? Then we had... Oh, and Nords. But Nords didn't really change. People they got nerfed. They didn't get shit. Nothing has changed for Nords. They're still doing Nord shit. They were the one that changed the least. So yeah, those. So, like, the top got brought in, the bottom got brought up. There's maybe not as many cool toys as some of you might have wanted for the changes in the factions that got hit hard. But your fundamental stuff you were doing hasn't changed. It's just been better for people to play into it. And also you got to remember the things you're playing into as well, it's now going to be better for you to play into those. Mm-hmm. So Tauntors, Thunder Riders, Apex has actually literally got a buff. But I'm just picking with Drew. So you got to see it that way as well. I think this update was needed. I don't think it was their best update for like level of excitement, level of acceptance, but I really believe that this update was needed, and I'm glad it happened.
Yeah,
I think the choices made were really good. I like what Parabellum did with City States and Old Dominion because they needed it badly. 100k, Nords, Dweghome did not change. Wadroon,
yikes,
got beaten to death in a corner. Am I missing any other faction? I feel like I'm missing one.
Well, it can't be that important.
Yeah. Spires
got reined in.
Yeah, I like Spires needed it. They got reined in, but okay. Dweg, 100k Nords. Your game plan has literally not changed. Old Dominion City States, you got the glow up you needed. Spires, you deserved it. Wadroon, you were beaten to a pulp in a corner. I'm sorry. That's kind of my big takeaway from this.
Yep.
What are your thoughts? What's your big takeaway?
I mean, that's pretty much it. I think Dweg and Spires are now trending more towards the middle. I think that City States and Old Dominion definitely got the best of this. Everything else is just more tightening and cleanup. Like, nothing was supposed to be that drastic either, so I think everybody was expecting this massive balance change, and it really just is not that.
No. Parabellum doesn't do massive balance changes.
Yeah, not so far anyway.
No, it's like every 3 to 4 months they like come out and do some tweaks what need to be done.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to play it out. I do hope that Wadroon get looked at sooner than later, just because it's fine because I have another army that I can go play if one of them is bad.
Mm.
But that's your only faction. This is going to be kind of a not great couple of months.
And I do agree with that. Do you wanna rank them? Who do you?
I don't. It's tough for me to really make a ranking. Like, I don't think I have the games to say something that wouldn't just be me being, lib.
I kind of want to rank them. I'm gonna.
All right. Well, I'll help you rank them. How about that?
Okay. Thank you. I think with these changes, Nords is number 1.
Okay.
I think 100k is number 2. I think Old Dominion is surprisingly number 3.
Okay.
Then I think it's Dweghome. Spires of Dweghome I think might sit around 4 or 5. They can swap whenever they feel like it. Then I think it's City States, and then I think it's Wadroon last. I can't place Sorcerer Kings because they don't come out until April.
Yeah.
So I think City States has done better, but I also think that margin of that ranking has come closer together in level of power, what's really good. So if you think like Wadroon can never beat Nords, that's not the case. I think Wadroon is just going to have a tougher time, but they are totally viable to do it.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I'm thinking.
That sounds about right. I'm surprised that, I guess in your estimation, that both at Nords are as high up as they are. I probably would have put them definitely in the top 3, but maybe not at the top spot.
Who would you put number 1 then?
Probably still Spires, honestly.
Yeah. I think Spires does still do Spire shit, but I think their game kind of swaps around. Like they do Spire shit with different things, so maybe they are still number one.
I think they still can be they're as strong as the person playing them. I think more than any other faction, just because they have so many cleverness and predictive mechanics. But if you're decent at leveraging them, as we see, with the company that we keep, that
damn competitive tournament players.
yeah, that Spires definitely I think can hang. I think they're probably like. Again, if you're talented at leveraging their advantages, probably the strongest. 100K would probably be my second spot. See, now you've just tricked me into doing my own ranking.
No problem. Keep going. Love it.
Yeah, so Nords is probably the third one there for me.
Okay.
I think Dweg. Dweg could be in the third spot. I just think that
Would it be the fourth spot?
Or? They would have to be.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's kind of interchangeable, Nord and Dweg, if I'm being honest. Like they're kind of tied for third and fourth. Or competing for them.
Dweg players, you deserve this. No, I'm not being mean to Dweg. Dweg players actually took this update really well.
Yeah, compared to other factions.
Yeah, like I want to give a shout out to Dweg chat for being the best chat for the update. Like I read through them when it was happening, and I was like, oh boy. on like a couple of the chats. But Dweg, the Dweg chat on the international Discord did a great job, really understood it, and really got into like list building and like trying to figure it out and make it work. So I want to say like kudos to you guys. You won the community update.
Big Boy Olympics.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair. Good for them. But yeah, I'd say third and fourth are kind of the Nords and the Dweg competing.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, yeah, probably Old Dominion. Would be the next one there, but they also potentially could hang as well.
Yeah.
And then who do we have left from there? So they're like, I mean, Woodrune is at the bottom, obviously. They really got it bad. I guess City States, yeah, kind of has to, just because they're a lot better, but it seems like they don't have. They've got a lot of take now, but they're still not there with the give.
Yeah, I think they need maybe a couple more fundamental unlocks. Like maybe Chariots will change up how it goes. Maybe the companion. Maybe the companion cav will change up how it goes. But I don't.
Yeah, right now companion.
I don't see them like going for the top.
No.
Like some of these other factions, like Nords, 100K, Spires. Like I don't see them up there and being able to compete with those guys on a like. At a top end level. I think locally you're gonna find them much better and enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
It also becomes a player thing, but like I don't think people are gonna be reaching for them if they're like, I want to go to LVO in a year and I'm gonna pick a faction list and practice it out. I don't think you're gonna be looking at City States for that.
Yeah, exactly.
I also don't think you're gonna be looking at Woodrune for that. I think you can for sure make a case with Nords, 100K, Dweg, Spires, Old Dominion.
Yeah.
Like, if you looked at those 5 factions, I think you could and you're like, I'm going to practice for a year, I want to go to LVO, I'm going to try and really do well at LVO. If this update is the last one for an entire year, I think those are your factions that are going to be able to do something like that.
Yep, I'd be inclined to agree.
Yeah. Should we wrap her up?
Yeah, I think so. This turned into a bit of a marathon that we didn't intend to have. So
we just accept that our lives are marathon now.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much for listening. BonkTable has a YouTube channel. BonkTable on YouTube. You can watch some battle reports. Mostly they're like all 100K except for one. We got this podcast. There's more to listen to. One of the ones that I really enjoyed is the Podcasters Assemble. We got a bunch of content creators on to talk about Conquest in the last year. That's really enjoyable one. Dueling's really enjoyable. Garrett with his widgets is really wonderful. I enjoyed that. He's a great guy.
I mean, full disclosure, that one is advertainment.
Yeah. But there you go. That's my one sponsorship. I don't even get paid by them. You never.
Yeah, I know. And he's got other. He got a shout out on Goonhammer too.
Oh fuck yeah! Good job, man. Get your Conquest widgets from this Albertan Canadian. It's like Texas Light.
Yeah, from this little Sigma freak who's hustling everybody. Sorry, I really like Garrett. That's why I say things like that.
Oh, I've met him in real life. We joke around because I was like, I'm in a group chat with him and his wife to design shit for widgets and crap. And I was like fucking around where I'm like telling him and his wife, and I'm like talking to his wife where it's like, oh, I'm gonna touch his face and make him feel weird. And I went to Calgary and I like did it in the supply closet to like store terrain because we were both in there putting stuff away, and I like touched his face and it's just like ah. So watch out! I'll touch your face in an enclosed space.
I'm a little hurt that that's never happened to me. I mean, it doesn't have to, but the thought.
We've never been in an enclosed space together.
That's true. That's very true.
So they can't run.
It's
yeah, say it.
I can't think of it. No, it's not even good. It was just like that's that's something an old pro tells you type statement that I just whiffed completely because I can't. I've been recording too long to remember basic turns of phrase. So
we gotta stop doing long recordings. Damn it. Yeah. So what else is there? BonkTable's got Discord if you want to see a ton of other content creators. There's a community content thing there. A lot of rules.
A fun Discord.
Sorry, what?
It's just kind of a fun Discord.
Yeah. There's that. Like, it's pretty. I'm not gonna say it's pretty tame, but there's good discussion that actually like provide good feedback and talk about things and not just whatever the hell is happening sometimes in the international Discord. So if you're interested in that, you're more than welcome to. If you want to talk to myself or Cass and talk about our opinions and stuff, there's comments on YouTube. You can join the Discord and just do the BonkTable community or content channel and just talk in there. And there's a bunch of other guys. There's some people who come in and talk to other content creators, like Apex Chinchilla and his Chanting Conquest podcast. There's Competent Commander, or no, not Competent. Fuck me.
Competent Conquest.
Competent Conquest from Ben, and he brings on like Carl and Brian,
etc.
Yeah, it's Ben and the Competent crew. I'm just calling them now. Hannah and her Humans with Sticks. We got Just Roll Ones, the Aaron, and I believe his name is James. They can tell me when I'm wrong. That's fine. What is it? Josh around Aya, the two Joshes, and the guy who's not named Josh. I don't know what his name is because they always like, and I'm not Josh. And I'm like, do you have a name? Actually,
Josh.
If they're listening, the Josh around Aya guys, we'll find out because this can be a listener question to them.
What the hell is your name?
No, yeah. So that's one of them. What the hell is the not Josh guy's name? And if you had to pick a faction and live in that community for 10 years and survive in the world of Aya, and you got to pick the faction you were going into, which one would you pick? And we'll find out if they answer, if they listen to this at all.
That's fair. That's a good test.
Well, yeah. Gotta keep the views going and the engagement.
Yeah.
Goonhammer's in here. Like, I think we have Robert Shepard also there. Great guy.
So basically there's like 30 Conquest creators, and we've got 22 of them. So
actually, can I find out how many content creators we have?
I'm happier not knowing.
It looks like it is 13.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. They can do stuff.
Yep,
They're adults.
And if you join, they'll all owe you a favor. So
it's really funny because Apex Chinchilla is like the BonkTable like social network or something, and I'm like, God damn it, I'm not fucking making a Conquest Facebook. It's like somehow I'm building up like a media empire and I'm not even doing anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've made incidentally, and to dovetail with what we were discussing, I've still got my Twitter, and if people start following it, maybe I'll start posting in it. But it exists.
Just go in and grab whatever the latest Bow report is and throw it up on there as a post.
Yeah, that's what I need to start doing. That's like a habit that I need to build. But I'm mostly like I use my personal Twitter just to make like stupid jokes that nobody sees, and so it's hard to break out of that habit. But the problem is when you're when you've been like narrowed into just like really weird queer coded conquest jokes. Like, granted, I could make a ton of them, but what's the audience for that? I don't really know yet. It's bigger than I expected so far, but I don't know what the dimensions of that are. So
Keep going and find out.
yeah, I guess I'll just start just posting whatever pops into my head. But yeah, I mean, it's there. I still hate looking at it because my algorithm is still terrible. So please save me from that.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay, I think we're good.
yeah, good talk.
Yeah, we can go home now.
Yeah, to my home.
To what I'm sitting in right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone have a great day.
Yeah, have a good one.
Bye.